Good morning. The September 19, 2025 meeting of the Charter Authorization Panel is called to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Arkansas Department of Education auditorium and ask that you please silence all your electronic devices. The goal is to facilitate a fair and responsible hearing. So for the record, I ask, are we good? So for the record, I ask each person speaking to please state your name and title each time you speak into the microphone. I ask that you continue to speak clearly in the microphone throughout the presentation for the benefit of the panel, this audience, and the viewing audience. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and a transcript of the meeting will be posted on the DESE website. So again, good morning to everyone. Good morning to our panel members. I know we do have some online that are also joining us today. Our first action agenda, we'll have Julie Rainey from ABE Legal. And if you will please come forward and provide an overview of the procedures for today's action agenda. Or, sorry, Daniel Schultz is coming forward. Our general counsel is going to give
Good morning, panel. Daniel Schultz, general counsel for the department. I am here to introduce Julie Rainey, who will be with y'all today as well and may be speaking for legal on some of the items, but I told her I'd do this part, so I won't throw her quite in just yet. As I suspect this panel well knows, applicants will have 20 minutes to speak. They're to be sworn by speakers other than attorneys are to be sworn by the chair. The chair may grant additional time. Parties opposed, if any, will have 20 minutes collectively. They can have to be sworn if they're not attorneys representing a party. And if there's opposition, the applicant would have 5 minutes to respond. And of course, they're subject to your questions. Thank you.
Okay, so first up we have our open enrollment charter school applications. Dr. Darrell Smith is going to come forward and begin a presentation on our first applicant.
Well, good morning, panel. It's always an exciting day when we have new applicants come before us. Darrell Smith, the Office of School Choice. Our first applicant right here is from the Arkansas Virtual Tech Academy. They have a number of people that will be present today, some that were actually remote and will be online, certainly to answer any questions you have after their presentation. So I believe that Bernadette Ortiz Brewster will be starting us off. And so with that said, welcome to the podium.
Very good. Okay. Before we get started, I need to make sure that everyone is sworn in. So all those giving testimony today on behalf of Arkansas Virtual Tech Academy, both in person and remote or online, please stand and raise your right hand. Okay. Do you swear that the testimony or statement you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, you may begin your presentation.
Okay. Thank you so much for having us today. We're very excited to be here. It's been a long process, but want to say thank you to all of the folks that have been so helpful to us throughout this application period. My name is Dr. Ortiz Brewster, and I'm honored to speak with you today as an executive consultant. I bring over 25 years of experience in education, including roles as a Spanish teacher, technology teacher, co-founder of both private and public schools that I'm very proud of, school leader, and I also come from the world of virtual education as a VP of Business Development. And now I'm super excited because at what I call the end of my career, I'm now focusing on board member recruitment, training, and proposal writing, which I absolutely love. It's been a privilege to work closely with the Arkansas Virtual Tech Academy board, a group of highly committed individuals whose diverse expertise spans education, law, finance, and school leadership. These board members are not only passionate about student success, but also deeply committed to strengthening educational access across the state. As an educational consultant, I have taken seriously the responsibility of equipping the board to understand a role in guiding high-quality virtual school, one that's designed to address critical gaps in Arkansas, in their current virtual education landscape. I'm confident that their leadership will bring meaningful, necessary change to students and families across the state. It is their goal today to share their personal and heartfelt reasons why they decided to become volunteer board members with a mission to open Arkansas Virtual Tech Academy. And we really feel this school is needed now. Thank you. I'd like to introduce the president, Makasha Whitehawk, and I want to say I'm very sorry, her last name was written incorrectly.
Hello, good morning. I am Makasha Whitehawk, and I'm serving as the board president of Arkansas Virtual Tech Academy. With years of experience in education, special education, birth to pre-K, primary, secondary, I've even worked in online technical college. I am committed to inclusive, high-quality education, learning experiences that prepare every student for success in school, post-secondary, work, and then life. Our academy is designed to expand access, close gaps for underserved students, especially those with disabilities, English learners, and those in rural communities, through equity, innovation, and strong family partnerships.
Good morning. My name is Locke Adair, and I'm a founding board member of Arkansas Virtual Tech Academy. I'm honored to serve as a founding board member. I started my career out of college as a teacher at Augusta in Woodruff County and here in Arkansas, a very rural school, an underserved school. There's a high turnover rate of teachers. And I got to see firsthand some of the struggles of Augusta in that school district, as well as the beauty in Augusta and the children there. It stirred me. I felt I had found my calling in life, but I also felt I had more to offer to those students. And so I went to law school right after that, that first year, and I'm now a practicing attorney here in Arkansas, a wide array of cases. I also volunteer as a public defender part-time. In addition, I'm an adjunct professor at Harding University, where both of my parents are professors and my grandparents were professors. In addition, I've created an online course for college in California, near where I did my clerkship under a federal judge. And so I have experience in education and dealing with students directly. Most of my experience was with middle school students. I noticed a huge lack of resources related to disabilities that they had, and just being a very rural school, a lack of access to other basic resources that I grew up with that I felt was a tragedy. And I'm very excited to serve on this board and to oversee the education process as the online curriculum develops and we get it out to those students and making sure that they're getting what they need and that the money is being used in a way that benefits those kids. And I'm not going to hesitate, but to put the interest of those kids first. And again, my passion is that to fill in the gaps for the rural students and those requiring specialized services. Thank you for your consideration of our application.
gentlemen. My name is C.T. Grant, and I am an accountant by profession, but I also bring firsthand experience as both a mother of children who have attended public school system here in Little Rock. 2 of them have matriculated out of the Little Rock School District, and I currently have a son who's attending Little Rock Central High School. So I myself am a product of Little Rock School District. Things have changed, but I do believe that what we are doing with this academy is bringing back options for students who not only in this district, but primarily in the rural districts. What I saw, I also was a substitute teacher in this district, and the strengths and challenges I saw just by doing that, we have a number of students that do not learn the same way. And I realized you have to meet them where they are. And so a lot of them felt disadvantaged being in classrooms that they probably felt they weren't up to speed with. And then some of them excel just by, I call them little teachers themselves. So they will help the other students. But I saw that one student will not learn the same as the other student. This realization led me to become a strong advocate for virtual schooling and school choice. While Arkansas currently has 2 virtual schools, it's evident that they haven't been able to meet the diverse needs of students fully. Our goal is not to replace these schools, but to complement them by offering an additional high-quality option, particularly for students seeking something different or those residing in rural areas. Research shows that nearly half of Arkansas public schools are in the rural districts, and they serve more than 147,000 students. Attending these rural districts means fewer opportunities for the students, limited access to advanced courses, long travel times to and from school, and other challenges personal for families. Some students need the flexibility of a schedule that the virtual school offers, because if you're in a rural district, you may be part of the contributing financial needs to that family. As a board member, I fully understand our responsibility, but my responsibility as well, and the importance of governance. I take my role in the steward of public funds fully, wholeheartedly, to the utmost level. As I said, I am accountant by trade. So I know that sticking to guidelines will produce the best when it comes to financials, to be presented not only to our partners, but to you as well. The responsibility lies with us, and we are fully prepared to exercise it with diligence and integrity. We believe that every student deserves access to flexible, rigorous, and supportive educational experience, no matter where they live. That is why we are committed to expanding virtual learning opportunities in ways that truly will serve all students. Thank you. Up next, I believe, is Landon as well.
Good morning, panel. So my name is Landon Snell. I'm honored to serve on the Emerging Virtual School Board. I see this as a great opportunity and a meaningful way to contribute to my community and also the underserved students within Arkansas that might have a gap that needs to be filling by creating a virtual school. It was instilled in me at a very young age the importance of being able to serve a school board. My father served on the school board of for me of the schools that I attended throughout my entire primary education, and I got to see just the amount of change that a caring and passionate board can have on its students. My background is in finance and accounting. I have a bachelor's in finance And throughout my career, I've really dwelled upon decision making through data analysis, consistently prioritizing transparency and accountability. I think that is a very strong attribute that we are bringing here with our board. What drew me into this work is the growing concern for many students across Arkansas who are being underserved, particularly those in DNF-rated schools here in Arkansas. We are seeking more of a self-paced, selective, and supportive environment while also allowing the flexibility of learning depending upon the student's needs. Every student, regardless of zip code, it should not matter. They should have the choice to be able to find the solution for their schooling that fits their needs the best. And I feel like that's where, as we come in, that we, if we're allowed the opportunity, would be able to fulfill that gap. As a board member, I understand my role in the governance and oversight, and just how important it is, along with the physical responsibilities that come along with that. I take my role as a steward of the public funds very seriously, due to the fact of without the oversight and the passionate, caring oversight of our board, things can be misfunded or mishandled. And that is a very important attribute that I think that we bring to the table. I look forward to working closely with the education service provider. While we value their expertise in operational support, it's our responsibility as the board to govern the school. And I wholeheartedly believe that we bring many special attributes to the environment here in Arkansas, the educational environment, due to making sure that our students are not only receiving specialized training and teaching, but also making sure emotionally they are taken care of. I feel like that is something that is lacked in a lot of places, because at the end of the day, this is our future. I appreciate your opportunity to let us come here and present today, and I look forward to discussing things future. Thank you. Next we have Lisa Trotter. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Trotter. I am honored to serve as a founding board member and secretary for the Arkansas Virtual Tech Academy. For several years, as an executive administrative assistant, I have supported senior leadership, and in my role, I have coordinated large meetings and conferences, preparing reports, proposals, and budgets. I am highly organized, detail-oriented, and proactive, which are skills I will bring to this board as we build a student-centered and well-ran school. The one thing that excites me about the Academy is that we will partner with Stellar Virtual to educate career-bound students and who are currently underserved in traditional online schools. Thank you for your time.
Makasha Whitehawk, President. And what I want to emphasize is our vision, which is basically empowering families, supporting learners, and preparing students to succeed with a lasting impact. Our mission is a personalized online learning that inspires excellence, responsibility, and growth.
Hello again. So today I'll be discussing the governance slide for our roles and responsibilities. As outlined in our application, we will continue to work with Dr. Bernadette to ensure that we as a board remain well-informed, mission-driven, and fully equipped to be able to provide the best possible outcomes for the students here in Arkansas. By leveraging her expertise in education, school leadership, and board governance, we will receive ongoing training, guidance, and support to maintain the best possible practice in charter school oversight. This includes ensuring compliance with all state and federal regulations, setting clear expectations of academic and operational performance, and holding our education services providers accountable to the outcomes as we are committed to achieve for our students. As a part of our commitment to strong, informed governance, our goal is to earn the new Cogna Board certification. This nationally recognized training will further equip our board with tools, knowledge, and best practices necessary to oversee a high-performance virtual school efficiency. It includes 3 phases: reflection and analysis, engagement, and process and feedback. This certification reflects dedication to the continuous improvement and accountability leadership from day one. We also retain independent board legal counsel to ensure that we maintain appropriate boundaries and legal clarity in all negotiations and interaction with our education service providers. This step reinforces our commitment to be transparently governed, conflict-free decision-making, and a clear separation of responsibilities between the board and our provider. At the end of the day, we are the governing body of the students that we will be taking care of. Thank you.
I'm CT Treasurer. As mentioned previously, we strategically are targeting underrepresented students and students who would like the opportunity to prepare for college or a career in high school. To build a school that aligns with our vision and mission, we must ensure that we have an educational service provider who shares our values and is committed to serving all students who wish to attend our school. Stellar Virtual is that partner. To tell you more about Stellar Virtual and its senior members is Dr. Lisa Collins.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Lisa Collins. I'm the Senior Vice President of Academics for Stellar Virtual. I have over 21 years experience in virtual education. Yes, long before COVID hit. On the screen is our new school launch committee, who include our co-founder and president, Juan Cabrera, who has experience not only as a elementary school principal, a corporate international lawyer, but also as the superintendent of El Paso Independent School District. Polly David is our head of school for Texas. She has an extensive background in special education. Josh Solomon is our vice president of growth and school business services. He has a strong background in school startup, charter funding, and the operational aspects. And with me today, I also have Nate Green, who's a principal of our K-8 campus in Texas. You'll hear more from her in just a few minutes. Next slide. Stellar Virtual has been in existence since 2019. We have over 900 employees now, both in the academic and operations portion of the organization. All of our teachers are certified in the state and content areas in which they teach. We have Cognia certification system-wide, as well as for each of our schools. And we expanded. We started off as a Texas-based school. We're now currently in 7 states with confirmed plans to open in 2 more, and hopefully in Arkansas as well. Next slide. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Nay.
Good morning. I'm Natonian Green. I am the principal for our Texas school for kinder through 8th grade for Texas. So what you see on the slide is just a synopsis of how we prepare our students for school in this virtual environment. So one thing about starting strong, that is our first step to make sure that students are successful as possible and to encourage students to begin their day with the right mindset and also the preparation. So in their new student orientation course, students will be guided on a step-by-step process about how to navigate their new learning system, how to sign into their school email accounts, how also to log into live synchronous lessons, how to submit their assignments, and also how to participate in good virtual discussions with their peers, but also their teachers. Some of the things about the new student orientation that are definite pros when it comes to introducing a student to a virtual environment is that it helps reduce that anxiety that our students have, especially going into a brand new outlook of education, and also it builds their student confidence. Also, it helps to assess the online learning readiness and make sure that we're having that open communication with parents and students to make sure they are fully prepared for school. All right, so talking about academics, one thing we wanted to point out is that we make sure that our curriculum is aligned to your state standards. We make sure that we have an asynchronous environment for our students, but we also provide synchronous live lessons. One thing that we do, we manage all state testing, and we have career pathways where we utilize our program Pathful, where they're able to assess and take assessments to align to their career choices and aspirations. And then we also have a dual credit program as well with universities. Some of the groups that we serve are special populations, special education, 504. We accept gifted and talented students along with English language learners. And we also accept at-risk students, and we will be adhering to the Arkansas literacy screening. Some of the things, a wraparound service that we have instilled family support coaches for our parents and our students to make sure they have constant communication and support throughout their day in their school year as a student at Stellar Virtual. And then we also have our counselors on campus where they focus on social emotional learning and also assessing their courses to make sure they are aligned with the state requirements. Thank you.
Dr. Lisa Collins, Senior Vice President for Academics for Stellar Virtual. Our learning management system is created to help get information in the hands of teachers to provide individualized instruction and small group accommodations for those in need. We do data review meetings on a regular basis where the teachers are looking at how their students are performing and differences that they need to make to either their small group sessions or their interventions. We also utilize AI. We have an AI tutor, it's called Amira, which helps with reading at the K-5 level and interventions at the middle school as well. And we use a product called ThinkVerse, which provides a math tutor. So students have access to get their questions answered 24/7 throughout the course of their instruction. In addition, like I said before, all of our teachers are state certified and they work closely with students. Next slide. Our operational support, in addition to academics, we have a team who recruits and markets for students. We have a whole enrollment process to make sure appropriate documentations are obtained, ages verified. We provide governance advisement to our charters to help work in partnership with them. We believe in collaboration, cooperation, and communication is a key goal from our students through our partners. All of our staff are highly qualified, certified in their content area and state, and we also have a full human resource platform as well. I'll turn it over to Landon.
Locke Adair, board member. The board will retain ultimate control through its authority to approve the budget, monitor finances, and engage a third-party auditor for independent oversight. Stellar Virtual will operate the school on a turnkey basis and develop the budget for board approval, but financing and enrollment risks rest with Stellar Virtual, not the board. This structure ensures the board maintains governance and financial oversight while Stellar Virtual manages operations and cash flow responsibilities.
So I'm just going to end it by saying thank you so very much. As you can see, we have very passionate board members with wonderful backgrounds, and we think that they will be an incredible addition to this school, or leaders of this school. So thank you so much, and we're open to any questions you might have.
Thank you. Okay. So before we get started with questions, I'd like to invite Julia Rainey up to let us know if there's any legal concerns we need to be aware of.
I am so excited to be here today. We have no legal concerns.
Okay,
Thanks.
you. So with that, we'll start with our.
Can I ask a question before we start our personal questions?
Sure, yeah.
And this is really probably for Daryl and for Desi. I know that with these applicants that we have for new applications, Desi's done a ton of work looking at the applications, strengths, weaknesses, information about it. I know with the ones that are coming up for the renewals, I think we have like 30 or something that you all are going to provide the overview using the new tool. Is that information that like you all have put together, is that shared with these applicants so that they can have that as background information when they come in?
So the way the process works is that after the initial application is presented, then our review team, our internal review team, which consists of members from the special education department, finance, all the different aspects of the application are review each section. They supply their comments, we get them all together, and then we set up an interview time with every applicant and go over all the comments. And at that point, then they have time to go back and make adjustments to their application. And then usually within a month or so, they have a deadline for their final application submission. Then we kind of go through that process again. Everybody kind of re-reviews the final application, looking again just for the strengths and weaknesses of the application. We all obviously speak to you all a little bit, and then if there are still some compelling questions that are out there, then we address those with the applicants. So for these applicants, we gave them, I know, 6 or 7 points that say, hey, these are still some areas that you might want to address that we still didn't feel like were completely maybe, comprehensive in as far as what we were looking for in the application, but certainly want to give them the opportunity in advance to know that, hey, these are still some of the concerns or maybe some of the challenges that we still see that you can certainly address and kind of go from there. So basically we had one official interview, and then we've had kind of a lot of email back and forth. It's like, here are the additional questions that you might want to consider addressing in a little bit more detail.
And so really this is probably more moving forward. So that sort of formal tool that'll be used for, say, the renewals, does that evaluation go to the applicants before they appear before us, or is that something that's an internal thing?
I think the tool I think you're referring to is pretty much an internal tool, because what we want to do is get all those comments and be able to respect those that are providing those comments, and then at the same time then aggregate those into the common themes. And then obviously if we see some areas that where an internal expert or something could really add to that, then we would set that up where they could say, hey, there's some really concerns here. Let us get you with our special ed department, or let us get you with whoever, finance or whoever we needed to get to that helped them out. So you all see a little bit more, a detailed analysis of everything. And then from that point, then we'll aggregate that into some questions that are very kind of more specific to that particular applicant, so that they can, again, address those areas in the analysis that were maybe still lacking a little bit.
So they'll get feedback and an opportunity to sort of respond and hopefully refine the application, but they won't actually see that formal rating scale or whatever that is.
Correct. Yes. At this time. Now, certainly we can look at going forward, it's, looking at different ways to present and to refine the process, as this was the first time the first round that we did this particular process with a new tool.
I'd like for us to have a conversation maybe about that later, about what's the best way to do that.
Sure.
Having been a charter director standing in front of this panel, thinking that the panel has information that I don't have, and I'm flying around the blind might make me a little nervous, so.
Yeah. Well, I would say, to answer that, I don't know if they have any information that you didn't have. I mean, it was presented in a different manner,
Sure.
but they don't have information that you didn't have. So in no way did we surprise them with whatever with what you had. So I don't know that we want to characterize it as
Right.
you
That's-
had
I appreciate the
you had some information
Yeah.
there that they didn't have. We just presented it differently.
Okay, I appreciate the clarification. Okay, thank you.
Does any other panel member have a question for Dr. Smith in regards to process before we go into any questions for the charter?
Okay,
Seeing none?
thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Dr. Bacon, do you want to finish your questions?
Let somebody else go first. And come back to me.
Okay. Dr. Bashir? Yes. Okay.
So, thank you for your presentation today and all of the work that you've clearly done on your application. I have a question related to student outcomes. It was really helpful to hear and see the work that your partner, Stellar Virtual, has led in other states. I'm wondering if you might speak to the success that you've seen in other states, especially as you consider target populations in Arkansas.
Dr. Lisa Collins, Senior Vice President for Stellar. Academic outcomes, I think graduation rate is the one that we can show the most success in. 3 years ago when I started with Stellar, we had about a 68% graduation rate. This last year, we ended at 78%, so a 10% increase in Texas, with also a tremendous amount of growth in student population. We went from 345 students to over 17,000 students in the state of Texas.
Thank you. And no further questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Moore?
Good morning. Thank you all for your presentation and all the information, and your passion for this is noted. Just a few questions to start out. You mentioned certified teachers and certified in their state. Help me understand that better, since it seems like this is the virtual platform is a national platform, so I'm trying to understand how Arkansas teachers will be included or Arkansas certified.
Great. Thank you for your question. Dr. Lisa Collins, Senior Vice President of Academics for Stellar Virtual. All of our teachers are certified in the state in which they teach. Our first preference, of course, is to hire teachers who live within the boundaries of Arkansas as well, to work with our Arkansas students. It's nice for them to be able to have outings and to be able to see their teachers at state testing activities and things like that. But if we're unable to pool a large enough group at the beginning, or if we feel that the launch is best, what we do is we take teachers who hold Arkansas certification but maybe do not live within the boundaries of Arkansas, so that would be our second preference. And then our third preference is to get a teacher from another state certified in the state of Arkansas. So even if the teacher does not live within the boundaries of Arkansas, they would be certified in that state, in your state.
Okay, thank you. Also in the application, I don't know who this question would go to, I'm sorry. It mentions early college credit, which is a huge push in our state right now. And in our state, we call it concurrent credit if it's credit that a student's earning both. I know other states call it dual. Dual means something else here. Make it make sense, I know.
That's okay.
But I'm just wondering who the post-secondary partner would be and how that would work. Are there plans in place for that?
Sure. So we have an agreement with Arizona State University to provide national transcripted of college credit, and that's what we use until we get our partnerships set up with local universities and colleges. A lot will depend on where the students are, what the the higher ed population has as far as like whether or not they have a robust online presence that would allow students from across the state to use or not. So ASU, Arizona State University, is highly recognized across the nation, so they were our first partner. We also have a partnership with BYU that can be used nationwide as well. And then within the states, we partner with local community colleges are usually the first option of choice because there's more breadth of reaching across the state.
So, is it typically one of your faculty members, like a high school teacher who is qualified and has the credentials, or is it typically one of the college or university faculty that are teaching?
It actually varies by the institution. Yep.
So in Texas, since you already have a presence in Texas, are you still using Arizona State in Texas, or have you been able to use all Texas colleges and universities?
We have partnerships with the colleges in Texas, so we just use ASU as a backup because sometimes they have courses that are offered online that the local community college or state university doesn't offer in an online format.
Okay, and how does that look like for cost to students? Because like in Arkansas, we have scholarships that pay. Do you work within the realms of the regular rules and policy that the schools have to pay for early college credit?
Yes, we follow the state guidelines, but we don't let, like if a student is trying to go to a school and earn a credit and the state doesn't have an option for them, then we cover their tuition.
Okay. And also, I'm sorry, I have a few questions.
We want to make sure that their financial situation isn't a barrier to their earning those dual credits.
And we have some state policies in place for that, absolutely.
Great.
In fact, our latest legislation does not allow parents to pick, or students and families to pick up the bill at all. So,
Nice. Wonderful.
So it mentions wraparound supports and how important those are.
Yes.
Could you speak more to that? Because I struggle to wrap my head around
Sure.
wraparound supports in a virtual environment. So.
Yep. That's a great thing about the virtual environment. Pretty much anything you can do in a face-to-face setting, you can do in a virtual setting, except give a hug or have a chair thrown at you. So the wraparound services, we start with our onboarding process, and we have an onboarding team that makes sure all students have a successful stellar launch. So we have them do an orientation. We require them to do the Renaissance Star to get that beginning of year assessment. Then we also have counseling services. We have both academic counselors who help with their college and career paths, help with making sure that they're flowing along the path. And then we have crisis counselors who intervene whenever there's a crisis, whether that be a home displacement or a tragedy in the family or in the community. In addition to that, we just this year launched a partnership with Hazel, which is a mental health virtual provider. And so our students can self-refer if they're 13 years or older. Their parents can refer, or a teacher can refer. And they provide support, not so much crisis management, but more along virtual counseling. And then they can recommend to families additional services if they need more intensive services within the communities.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I have this time. Mr. Baldwin?
Okay, thank you. I've got a few questions too. But let me start out by saying thank you to the local folks, the local board for coming in today. That's meaningful to us to see that you all are here. And I guess one of my first questions would be, how did you get formed? What was the process? Maybe how did you all select the local board members? I'm curious about how you initiated that and how you picked your team here.
Dr. Ortiz-Brewster, education consultant. So I have a very wide network, and being in education for over 25 years, so I had reached out to someone that I knew and said, you know, we would like to potentially consider putting in an application. So I reached out to, who was the first one? CT? CT. So I had a conversation with CT through a friend that, and she just fit the bill perfectly. So I had a conversation, explained to her, you know, what the thought is. I felt that there was a need for a different school, and she was very excited about that. She then recruited Makasha, And then I think it just kind of went down the line that way. So basically, they're leveraging their networks and, you know, having those conversations. And basically what they told me time and time again was, oh my gosh, these are the conversations we're having as parents in our workplace, and so we want to make a difference here. So I kind of initiated the first conversation, and then they basically kind of took it over from there. They are not a formed board. We have all the documents. I help them with all that consulting services, so I'm helping them with their bylaws and all of that, so make sure that they're compliant. They have submitted a 501c3 application as required, and it will be, we're waiting for the determination letter. So everything is ready, and they'll be able to form their board immediately.
And are they all Arkansas residents? Do you all?
Yes.
How many
Yes.
live in small rural towns?
No, just.
So originally, I'm actually from a small town in Arkansas.
Sorry, can you come to the microphone? Sorry. That's okay. And just reintroduce yourself.
Landon Snell. So originally, I'm actually from a small town called Emmett, Arkansas. I'm not sure if you're familiar with where that may be, but it's in between Hope and Prescott. You know, growing up in a small community that's rural like that, you know, the choice of school options was very limited. It was based off of where you lived, your county that you were in. Growing up with my father being on the school board, I got to see from kind of the inside perspective of what took place. And it, like I said in my initial statement, it really instilled in me the values and the importance of a strong, passionate school board that actually wants to make change. These are the future, or children of our future. And for me, along with after talking with each one of my colleagues on the school board, I think that's a very common trait for all of us, is that I think we can all say without reason that there is something here in Arkansas that we may disagree with what's happening. But each one of us has in common that we want to be the driving factor of change rather than just having an opinion about something maybe we don't agree with. And for me personally, that's a big factor for me, is because I want to make the future leaders of Arkansas, I want to give them the opportunity, especially in rural areas where they may not have the choice for the best school that fits their needs. I would like to turn it over maybe to any of my other colleagues that might like to have any other input in that as well.
That's okay.
Absolutely. And I actually negated, I'm a tax accountant by trade, so I negated that in my initial introduction, so thank you.
Thank you. So my next question would be, I think, for Stellar Virtual, and really, I'd like you all to talk to us about how you picked Arkansas, why Arkansas, what process did you go through with that, and then maybe I have some follow-up questions.
Dr. Lisa Collins, Vice President of Academics, Stellar Virtual. We chose Arkansas partly for proximity of our growth, partly because we felt there was an opportunity to help the students of Arkansas improve their educational outcomes. We have a strong relationship and we look for boards who have our ideals and their growth patterns. We think that there's some opportunity in Arkansas to help improve those outcomes for students. You have such a vast rural area, and virtual education helps with that. Also, it sounds like a need for those special needs students. Virtual education is really also a very good opportunity for them, helps give them agency. There's been plenty of schools where students have been able to move up in student government, volunteer for activities that they wouldn't do otherwise, because the virtual environment kind of equalizes that for student population. We feel that Arkansas is a great place to help those students.
So in looking at us and realizing that we already have 2 virtual
Correct.
schools out there, I guess my question would be, how did you determine there was enough room in Arkansas for you guys? And we just have increased the number of students that those 2 virtual schools can handle. So I just am curious about that. And I know that you've already said that you have a quality program that may be better than theirs. Maybe explain that to us, and explain to us the academic, and I know the graduation rate, but I'd like to know a little bit more about the academic performance of your students in other states.
Yep, I may have to ask you to repeat a question if I forget to answer it, because there were several there. So a lot of us at Stellar Virtual have experience with the competitors, the big people in the space, Connections, K-12, Stride, et cetera. And we pride ourselves in being able to customize to the state needs with our flexibility of our programs. We also like being able to provide some competition to some of those, because competition makes everybody a little bit better. Does that answer that part of that question?
Yes.
Okay. Academic outcomes from students. So we're able to show their individual growth through the beginning of year, mid-year, and end of year exams, as well as their performance on state tests. When you're new into a state, though, it's very hard to use the state test as saying, hey, the school is successful or not successful, because students haven't been with you very long. Also, when you're just getting those into a new state in the first year, there's a lot of things you have to learn. Each state is very different. Some families in different states, like in Texas, they work really well with a stick. You almost have to threaten to get them out of the school in order to get them to conform with your rules and regulations. In Indiana, they respond much more to the kudos and the carrots. And so it takes a little while to figure out what is going to be the most effective with getting students to engage in a virtual environment. Because, let's face it, we're talking about students and parents who are running away from some other option. They're not happy with where they are. So sometimes they're running from instead of running to virtual education. So you've got to train them that education is, you're still schooling, you're just doing it online, which means you have to show up, you need to put in the time, you need to ask for help, you need to interact with your teachers. And not everybody understands that. They think, oh, I'm schooling from home. I was on the computer for 4 hours today, Mom, everything was great, or 8 hours today, or 10 hours, or however long. And then you have to have those conversations with the parents about, your child may have been online all day, but they weren't schooling. And so those take a little time to get the culture and the understanding underway.
Okay. So we're used to our schools being graded based on the performance of students, A, B, C, D.
Yes.
So I guess, are your schools graded? Could you tell us what grade your schools have, if that is in fact used in other states? So we can understand, really how well are you teaching the students?
Yeah, so in Texas, we are currently under turnaround plan. We had a tremendous amount of growth and only received 40% of our students showing up to take the test. So this year we have a major focus on how do we get the 95% that's needed to show up.
How about the other states?
So Arizona, we are programs of schools. So our grades are rolled up into the school. We don't have a separate school grade. And in Indiana, we were in our first year last year, so we'll get a grade this year.
How many students do you have in Arizona?
In Arizona right now, we have about 400.
And what was the next state?
Indiana, we have about 550, I think.
Okay, so you're relatively new.
Correct.
In both of those.
Correct.
Okay, so just kind of moving on a little bit, and I guess I would say one of the things I was looking for in the application is a lot of information on Stellar Virtual, financial information, cash flow, debt service if there's debt, to know about you all. And I've heard that you're a great organization. You have a good reputation, but I was really trying to see what you were, because that's part of our decision if we're going to do this. Really, and really the decision is you guys. I just didn't see that, and so maybe I missed it.
I'm just going to ask Bernadette to come up with me for this one. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Well,
Maybe we didn't interpret the questions in the.
Yes. I don't recall a direct question.
Can you please reintroduce yourself? Let that record.
Sorry, Dr. Bernadette Ortiz-Brewster, education consultant. I don't recall a direct question regarding that, because we do have a finance team that would help with those types of questions. Stellar Virtual is a private organization, so it is not uncommon for private organizations to have their stuff publicly out there. So If there is a direct question you would like answered, we for sure can engage the finance team to be able to have that conversation with you.
Yeah, I was really looking for more of a description of your operations, your activities in other states, the years that you went into other states, because it sounds like this expansion is all relatively new to you guys.
Yes.
And then also financial position information, which is balance sheet, income statement, cash flow, all the basic
Okay.
things. And when other programs from out of state come in here, they usually bring that, even though there may not be a specific question on it, they embed that in their narrative so we can see, because you guys are going to be really the strength behind the school for a long time. And let me ask, in the end, will there be a contract between you all and the Arkansas school? And how does that look, and what roles and responsibilities are defined?
Yes, so that's something that that they go through with their training. So we've had that conversation extensively, that they are a nonprofit board and that they will be contracting with the education service provider. So at the end of the day, they have oversight of that education service provider and the importance of transparency of the service provider to also give them the information that they need so that they can govern properly. So they will have reports. Stellar Virtual will bring reports to their monthly board meetings, and they'll have budget reports, they will have enrollment reports, staffing reports. So they'll have all of that information ahead of time. And they're going to continue with ongoing training on how to have that relationship properly. And then they will then contract with you.
So they're a legal entity board. They're the board of the school, and the school is a 501c3
Yes, ma'am.
organization.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How do the boards work together? So you have a board at Stellar. How do you ensure there's not a conflict or a situation where one board is going this way and one board is going that way? How do you
So
negotiate?
they don't have a board.
So we have the Stellar Direction, but
Can you please reintroduce yourself?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Lisa Collins, Senior Vice President of Academics for Stellar Virtual. So while we have a board that Stellar reports to, each of our schools are run independently. So they either are, in some states, they are campuses of districts, and so we answer to the district. Or in this case, as a charter, but it's all the state focus, and we run it independently
So
as
the
a
Stellar
school.
board would not have a
No.
member on this board?
No, we would have no representation. We are only a service provider.
And then likewise, they would not have a representative. on the
Correct.
Stellar board. Okay, that's helpful. Okay, thank you. So final question is really, I'm sorry for the questions. And it's on the financial position of the school starting out, and you all provided a budget for the first 3 years. But honestly, I was looking, so I'm a banker, I'm a CPA, numbers are my thing. I was looking for something more detailed than this. So this is a very, really it's not, I would not call it a budget, it's more of just kind of an outline. And what I was looking for was a line by line budget, because I can tell a lot about a school by looking through how they are budgeting their numbers. And right in this budget, really the only substantial two lines are the state funding sources line, which is $7,600 a student, and then the operator turnkey services line, which would be Stellar, which is 98%. You're taking a 98% fee, it looks like. And so there's really not any money left after that. And that, I would expect to see more information than that. And that, you can't do anything about that now, but I'm just saying that was a surprise to me to
Yeah,
see a budget
I
like
think
this.
with this model, there are different models that you can have. With this model, it's more of a fee for service. So basically, since it's a turnkey operation, they're going to be responsible for hiring the teachers and the school leaders and paying for the curriculum and paying for services and all of that. So it's basically just a fee so that it's all inclusive. It's actually a much more simple way to do things. And then the board will have their own budget for things that they need. The good part too about having a provider like Stellar Virtual is that they will take all the risk in the beginning, so that they don't have to have startup funds. So they'll upfront those costs, because there are costs to get started, marketing, legal services, and things like that. So it's actually a very simple, nice and clean model, because they'll take care of everything that the school needs and what the children need, resources, all of that. And then they'll just provide oversight with, of course, any questions. They will have budget reports every month that they will have to review, and if line by line items if they have any questions. So that will be very transparent. We actually, when we received the feedback for the application, that was actually our strongest point they were talking about in our feedback, saying that we did a great job in that area. So there's a little bit, we didn't provide more information because we thought that we satisfied that question. But we're happy to have that conversation still.
Yes. So I would have provided more information. I don't feel like I have enough information to make a decision. And then the other point I would make is in this budget you are projecting 1,000 students in the first year, and then growing up to 1,500 by year 3. And I don't think you're going to be anywhere near 1,000 students in the first year. So I think your budget is going to be short, and there's going to be a need for Stellar to add more money into, which goes back to looking at Stellar's financials to see how much you guys can afford to do. So I just don't have the information.
Yeah. Well, I mean, typically when you're launching a school, you're ramping up with enrollment, right? So you're not hiring all of the teachers up front and the school leader up front. You're working with the enrollment numbers and then adding from there. So that can kind of be leveraged. And then you can also leverage the other schools, right? So the network that Stellar Virtual has. So if there's any resources that they can bring to the school, because the school is very small in the beginning, then they'll do that. So there are ways, and that's why there's an advantage to having a network. But again, there is no risk to the board because those are the numbers that Stellar Virtual come up with. They agree to. There's going to be negotiations there as well. So maybe they'll adjust those numbers if that's something that needs to be done.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Bacon?
Thank you. So I appreciate the passion of the local people who all spoke that are on the board, and your background and why you want to do this. Kind of following off of some of Mr. Baldwin's questions, it sounds like almost the entirety of this entity will be through Stellar. The teachers will be hired through Stellar, academics, everything is through Stellar. So what role does local board actually have in this entity if it's approved?
So first, the board would contract.
Tell you to introduce yourself.
Thank you.
I'm going to record that.
Locke Adair, board member.
Thank you.
First, the board will contract with Stellar Virtual, and that contract will be negotiated and it'll be termed. And so if the service provider isn't satisfactory during our governance, and the reporting is unsatisfactory, the financing is unsatisfactory, which we have both myself, accountants, and the other board members to vet the process while it's ongoing, that we can determine whether or not it's serving the mission and setting out to do the very thing that we sought out to do. And so our role is to, while we're not in the day-to-day operations, but monthly, what's happening on boots on the ground, getting the numbers from Stellar Virtual, the reports from Stellar Virtual, and even if there's a chain of command issue where there's some kind of action needing to be taken, or a parent is upset and coming up eventually up to the board, that we would handle. So it's that broad oversight, general oversight, and even ultimately it's the Arkansas residents, not Stellar Virtual, that's going to be in charge and can say, sorry, Stellar, we need a different service provider if it's not going as we hoped it would.
Can I ask, I think it was Ms. Green, the principal from Texas, if I could just sort of, I'm a former principal, CEO, charter school person. So I'm really in the weeds thinking through this in my brain. So as a principal, what autonomy do you have, and what do you oversee that's separate and sort of, since teachers work for Stellar? I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my brain around, like, what is your job?
I'm not going to forget to introduce myself. Natonian Green, principal for kinder through 8th grade. So we have a lot of control on our campus involving a virtual. Just a few background about myself. I did come from brick and mortar in Dallas ISD, and then I came from brick and mortar in South Carolina as well. So coming to the virtual environment, I still have that same control over my campus involving my teachers, making sure that they're certified, making sure they're high quality. During the day, I still have that control of master schedule, how I want it to be aligned. For example, my younger grades for kinder through 2, we have way more live synchronous times for them because I know their attention span and I know certain things that they need out of that essential day-to-day. And embedded in my school, I still have grade level leads. I still have department chairs as well that focus on the content and making sure it is aligned and the rigor is there, especially since state accountability. We still are responsible for that as well. And also I have professional learning communities with my teachers as well, and it's just organized exactly how a brick and mortar would be. It's just in more of a virtual environment.
So if you have a problem with a teacher that requires a determination, you do that, or that works through Stellar?
Yes, so I collaborate with our human resources department, but yes, the termination will come from me in HR.
Okay. Can I ask the Arkansas people, thank you.
Okay.
What does that look like for you? Because obviously this is what's going on in Texas and with Ms. Green's school, but what does leadership, what is the role of the people who are working in the school? I know it's virtual, but what does that role look like in regard to the relationship to Stellar and autonomy that you would be looking for?
Landon Snell, board member. So at the end of the day, we are hiring Stellar as our provider. We will, at the end of the day, have the final say on any pertinent issues that we believe need to be brought to the board's attention. I think that kind of, to answer your question, Mr. Baldwin, it's the reason maybe that the percentage of profit payback towards Stellar, the provider, is maybe on the higher end initially, is because they are taking all risk, but yet we are still the governing body that has all decision-making powers in regards to any day-to-day operation things that we might need. For instance, one of my biggest things is that we will be requiring Stellar to provide monthly full-on reports, and if we need extra information about maybe how students are doing, we can do that, so that way we can evaluate how the service provider is performing and if they are meeting the standards that we are requiring for our Arkansas students. At the end of the day, the structure of this takes all of the liability off of us per se financially, but still allows us to have full governing control. One thing that we can also request from or demand from Stellar is that final hiring or academic changes to meet after deliberating with our lawyers and governing bodies as well, that we will have separate from us for liability purposes, to make sure that we are meeting what we feel is best for the students that we will be providing these services as to. Is there any follow-up on that, or did that fully answer your question, Mr. Pickett? Thank you, sir.
I know this isn't the time to do this, but I want to say I appreciate your passion. Personally, I feel like there's a lot more that we need to work out detail-wise before I'd be comfortable approving this. And so, but I do appreciate your passion. I appreciate what you're trying to accomplish. And hopefully there can be some more follow-up conversations and some work done. But thank you for being here.
Ms. Stewart? Hey, just a couple of brief things. Totally echo what my colleagues have said, that having a local school board, Arkansas school board here is noted. So we do appreciate that. As a lot of folks in Arkansas, I come from rural Arkansas as well. You had a big highlight on that. My question centers around access. We know we have areas in our state that do not have access, do not have the technology needed. What are the plans for that?
Dr. Lisa Collins, Senior Vice President of Academics for Stellar Virtual. I should have it memorized by the time I'm done. So access is very important. We can provide the computers to students. We can provide internet, whether it be that we send hotspots or if we need to set up some type of reimbursement if they have to go through satellite or things like that. T-Mobile also is a good partner with us who helps provide free internet to students across the nation as well.
And I'm assuming there's a process for that, or
Yes,
when students enroll, that it's an automatic, or how does that work?
So it varies by state, and we'll have to look a little bit more into the needs of Arkansas. We talked about that at dinner last night with the board. But in your application, one of the things that it asks is whether or not you have access to a computer and whether or not you have access to the internet. We will provide it if they ask. We don't send them out to everyone because what we found that is if you send it to everyone, if they don't need it, it sits in the corner and it doesn't go used. But we do not, in several states we do say it's based on free and reduced lunch, we don't deny them the computers.
Okay. Honestly, I think that's all I have. Thank you all.
Well, I, again, will echo my panel members in saying that we appreciate you guys coming forward with your application and definitely recognize your passion for what you are wanting to do. There are a lot of questions that that are still out there. You know, my area is CTE, and I look at your application and knowing the population of students that you will be serving. Grade band wise, the CTE portion of your application is rather thin, and so that's something that is rather concerning, especially with the direction that our state is going in and having more of a focus and more of an emphasis in that area and success-ready pathways, and just trying to make sure that our students, regardless of where they are, getting their education, have the same opportunity to obtain those things as their peers. And so there's those questions that still remain that are out there right now, and so I kind of echo panel members that the amount of information that we have to make a decision is limited, and so that creates a bit of an issue for us, but definitely we can move forward with the process of taking this to a vote if that's what you would like to have happen. I will leave that to your leadership to decide if you want to move forward with that. So I'll look to the charter office to come forward and provide us some guidance.
Daryl Smith, Assistant Commissioner, Department of Education. May I ask you to repeat the question, please? Yeah, come on.
Dr. Lisa Collins, Senior Vice President for Academics with Stellar Virtual. They asked if we wanted to move forward with a vote, and so I asked, well, if we choose not to move forward with a vote today, what would the next step be?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So I think at this point, there's a couple options for you. You can certainly take a vote and affirm this application or not. I think if at that point, then you all would have the opportunity then to either, if the vote was affirmative, we move on and get ready for our year zero approval and process. If they vote to not approve this particular application, then at that point you would certainly have the option to reapply in the next cycle, which would be in the spring. Option two, so that's first step. Option two, I think, is to withdraw your application or ask for a deferral for maybe a 30 or 60-day deferral, and then get back with the charter office and some of the comments that the panel might have, specifically addressing some of the concerns that maybe they've addressed this morning. And then we'll work with you, and let's see if we can't shore up some of those areas, come back in, again, 30 to 60 days. And go through this process again. Not that anybody truly wants to go through the process again, but at least you'll have maybe a better idea and can address very specifically some of the concerns, whether it's the finance or CTE or some of the, some of those types of things. Yes, I mean, for a deferral, yes. So you're still in the same cycle. If you want to do that, obviously, if you went through the vote and they chose not to approve it in this particular day, then you'd be in the 27-28 cycle. So basically, it's kind of, do you want to defer the opening if, going through the process and going through the opening for 27-28, or if you're still really committed to the 26-27 school year, really getting some feedback, and which they will certainly provide very specific feedback on those things, defer this for, and then the panel can determine what that time frame would be. Typically, we're not going to go more than 90 days, but typically we're going to be that 30 to 60 day deferral, and then at that point can allow you to kind of maybe we'll even reopen the application, allow you to maybe kind of make some adjustments to the application itself as well as the presentation to again address some of the concerns of the panel.
And I would say, Dr. Smith, I appreciate the
Yes.
additional information and the guidance. Don't leave yet.
I'm still here.
Because again, I'm this regarding speaking for myself. I feel that there is a lot of work that needs to be done with this application, and I think also, and just in my opinion, would be helpful for our charter members if we could get a little bit more information on where our current virtual options are in the state and how they're performing, and I think that would also help us to know the need for an additional option beyond
Sure.
that. And with all of those pieces, I think there's more time than 30 to 60 days would have to take place.
Okay,
than
so
that.
certainly it
So
was in
that's
your
just-
purview to make those decisions.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
And Dr. McMurray, I'd like to echo what you're saying, because this was just all very confusing to me, because it seems like it doesn't make sense who's applying, because it seems like Stellar should be the one applying. Like, it's not the way we normally see programs come through. We have a lot of out-of-state charters come in, and so there's no information about the group that's actually doing everything, like very lacking. So just, I can't imagine in 30 or 60 days that setup is gonna change drastically. So, I don't know. I just don't wanna give a false sense that in 30 or 60 days, I don't know how the whole structure is gonna change, because it's the whole structure that's odd and awkward compared to what we normally see.
I can say this, being a virtual school and so there's not as much setup in a, as far as having a building and maybe renovating a building and doing some of the recruiting that you would normally do with a traditional charter school, that if they still wanted to pursue a 26-27 potential opening, we could maybe push this back even into the spring, maybe give it more like 6 months to figure this out, because the setup's not quite as, the ramp up to opening is not near as comprehensive as it would be if we were trying to have a building and a facility and making sure that our finances and leases and all those things are taken care of. So I think there may be a possibility from a charter, from the charter office point, that we could defer again if you guys feel like a deferral is warranted, that we could defer it until maybe February or March. That would give them roughly maybe 6 or 7 months to do some of this work that you guys feel like they need to be done.
And to be clear, they would be given all of the feedback and questions.
Yes,
that
so
we do have.
we'll get you a full,
Overall,
as you
yes.
guys present to us, we will make sure we have, we'll present it exactly as you all, the questions that you have in detail, and allow them, and then at certain times, certainly we can't have one-on-ones with you, but we will do our best to explain to them, make sure that they have all the support that they need in order to help process that. So if they need some CTE help, that we can certainly, connect it with someone in the CTE office to how to better develop a CTE program that meets the Arkansas standards, or its acceleration for, our dual credit and concurrent students, and, some of those things, or if it's a finance issue that we really want to see some different type of finance and more of a line item. So all the different things that have been brought up here this morning, we certainly can address that with them. If you all feel, again, that there's enough there for us to warrant a deferral to, 6 months from now, we can certainly do that. But if you feel like, really, maybe we just need a reset, and push that into the next cycle, then that, again, that's certainly under your purview as well.
Dr. Patrice-Duncan, you have a question? or a
Yes, a comment related to Stellar Virtual's work, particularly in Texas. I would really like to see more evidence of that work and success related to academic outcomes for students. So I might offer waiting, resetting, because of needing to see that work in other states.
Okay. So I feel like that from the feedback we've gotten from Dr. Smith and from further discussion on the panel that we're ready to vote on the process at this point. Okay. So there's no further questions from anyone?
Well, may I interrupt you just for a second?
Okay.
I think at this point, I mean, certainly you can vote on yes or no, but I guess we should probably give the applicant the opportunity either to either withdraw their application, to give that and request a deferral, at least on the record,
Okay.
for you guys to go from there.
Okay.
They have a motion to make before a request, I guess.
Lock 8 Air board member, we would like to request a deferral till January if that's possible.
Okay.
And a withdrawal, and then a deferral.
Okay. So just for clarity, so that
Yeah.
the board, the panel understands what you're requesting. So it is your request that you are withdrawing your application?
Withdraw from the vote and defer the voting to January.
Well, I mean,
So you would like to request addition, so you would like to come back in January and re-present your proposals, what you're asking?
That's correct.
Okay.
So at this point, you all need to you'll have to vote on whether or not you feel like that's an acceptable request. So if you feel like, hey, you know what, if you feel like there's enough there to give them that opportunity to come back and represent in 4 months, then you would vote to say, hey, we'll defer until that time. Or we just don't feel like there's enough there that even in 90 days or 120 days that's gonna make much of a difference or for the work that needs to be done in this particular application. Then you can we vote to deny the request to defer, and then at that point you'd have a vote on the actual application.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, you have a question?
So in response to that, I've got a question for the.
Yes, please.
That's okay. So, just when I was reading through your application, one, I know y'all did a lot of work. I mean, it was a lot of good information in there. But I kept looking for substantive, quantitative information. Most of it was narrative, and it was lots of big words and lots of stuff. And so what I'm saying is that needs to change, and you need to get more quantitative, and you need to talk about what you've done in Texas and what you've done in your other states and where you're at in that process, and then talk about student achievement and you just bring it. So it's kind of it's going to take time to do that, because it's going to be a total reset of your application to get the quantitative, substantive stuff in there. Can you do that by January? You think?
Dr. Ortiz-Brewster, education consultant. So as you can imagine, this is a little bit of we're kind of taken aback because we thought it was we were consulting and thought it was a strong application. I would like to address your CTE question first, if you don't mind. Well, maybe just set up the way this is laid out. So Stella Virtual has a network, and they have departments, marketing and finance, and all of the experts that you would need to run, kind of like a central office that you would have in a school district. And then they have the schools, but the school will be governed by the board. So the nice thing about that is the school will have their school leader. The school leader will be responsible for the school, but she, at any given point, can leverage the network and say, Dr. Collins, I have a concern with academics. This is what we've done at the school. We need to leverage your expertise. So there's this level of central office. That's maybe how you should see Stella Virtual. And then there's a school, like on a campus. It's just in the cloud. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention to say that not only is it a new school, but they have leveraged the expertise of all these different departments, right? The other thing is, which I just started engaging in conversations, they have opened a new department, and it's a CTE department. So they now have a senior vice president who has been working on doing this work because this is important in many states, and we also believe it's important. So there's a new department that has been doing this work, so we can easily get that information in this amount of time. We just didn't have that information at the time, and we didn't know it was needed. So what the board members were talking about was they were thinking that we do have this information, but if we knew exactly what you were looking for, it would be much easier for us to provide that to you. And we think they think they could do that in that amount of time.
May I ask a question while she's up? I'm so sorry. But I would just like a little more clarity, knowing that this is going to potentially come back to us later on. So when, I believe it was Mr. Baldwin that asked how this started, and you talked about, you had a thought, and you talked to someone, and so on and so forth. But then when Stellar was talking, they said they're wanting to expand to Arkansas. Mm-hmm. So how did the relationship with Stellar come up, and did Stellar find you? Did you find Stellar?
So in all transparency, I worked for Pearson years ago, and I helped open schools across the nation for them. And so I've been in this space for a very long time. And basically, what happens is we look at the needs of states. So I gotta say we, but it's Stella Virtual. So as an education consultant, I'm consulting and telling them, there are different states that can use your type of model. And my concern as a Spanish teacher was English language learners. So I was very excited about that because I said, wow, when I had conversations with their department on that subject, and I'm a school leader, I'm an educator, I was extremely impressed. And I said, wow. So I'm basically the person that is kind of doing some research and saying, wow, this is really needed, and you would be a great fit for that. Are you interested in, working in the state? And then helping them, a board needs to form, and it's kind of like a matchmaking opportunity is what I do. But it's important that they also leverage their networks and find. So I found the first person, and then it went on from there. But I look at I have my own company, I constantly look at these states and say, what are the needs, and who can create a school model? Now, I know the other companies because I've worked in this space for a long time, and this is exactly how it works. So basically, they're looking at states, education consultants are looking at states, boards are having conversations, but sometimes they don't find each other. So this is just basically matching them up. Now, at the end of the day, they do not have to have a contract with the education service provider, Stella Virtual. That is their option. I'm just saying, I think I found a good fit for you. This is your vision and mission, so maybe this is a good fit. But at the end of the day, they have, like Locke was saying, there's going to be a contract. They can, at the end of the term say, this isn't working out for us, we want another education service provider. But I also did research and shared it with them on how the other schools were doing. And I know that. I know those numbers. And they are lacking in those areas that the application was focusing on. And so these are not easy spaces to work in, English language learners, rural areas. Those are not easy spaces. But I'm convinced, in having conversations with all of their leaders and their education folks, that they can do a very good job in this area, probably better than most. And the fact of the matter is they're a much smaller company, so they can pivot a lot quicker. And so that's why I kind of promoted that. And I said, when you work for very large companies, it's very hard to pivot because there's so many layers of leadership. And I got to know Juan Cabrera, who's the co-founder of the company. And what I'm really impressed about this company is the fact that it is mostly educators. And so these are people that have been boots on the ground like me, who have opened schools, who have run schools, and know what you need to have in a school. So I would just ask you to think about Stellar Virtual just being a central office, providing support, and then having this school in the cloud with all of the layers that regular schools have. Counselors, crisis intervention, engagement teams, data experts, all of that there. So at any given point, a NAE could go and say, I need help in this area, and she can leverage that network. So I hope that helps. It's kind of hard to kind of wrap your head around how this works, but this is very common. And as you know, you already have 2 of the state virtual schools here, so.
So just one further clarification then. So are you a paid consultant for Stellar at any point?
I work for both. I don't charge the board. I charge for providing my information, my research that I do, the proposal, and things like that. When it comes to negotiations, because I'm in the middle, when it comes to negotiations, I step out. And so the lawyers come in, the lawyers negotiate for each side, whoever they decide to negotiate with. And then I'll come back in and help them with training. And this is what you need to do to be an effective board. So I just help on both sides. And it's a fun place to be because as an educator and a school leader, I've seen all the sides. I've worked for the big companies. I've opened schools from scratch. I have opened a school right now that in Maryland in partnership with the University of Maryland. So my board was the board president. And that was exciting because you're building schools from nothing, making them super successful. They actually just ranked number 5 in the nation. So these are really exciting things to see that if you bring an expert with their network and you bring a passionate board that also has education experience and legal experience and financial experience, and you bring them together, you're gonna have this amazing school. So as you can see, I'm pretty passionate about this, but yes. So just look at me as being in the middle, trying to help coordinate and train and help them to understand their responsibilities.
Thank you.
So I appreciate the additional information that you provided and the clarification. And I guess reflecting back to a comment that Dr. Bacon made before we started our questioning is the guidance that the charter office provides to applicants in their preparation to come in front of the panel and present their applications. And I feel confident that the charter office is doing a very thorough job in reaching out to applicants and making sure that when they come in front of us that they have an application that they've at least been informed upon is what's going to make a strong application. And so the questions that we are bringing forward and the concerns that we have are based off of prior knowledge and prior applicants that have come in front of us with very strong applications. And so that's what kind of guides what we're looking for. And so just kind of looking back at it, there were a lot of holes there that made it difficult for us as a panel to be able to fully realize, like you mentioned, wrapping our head around it. We have to be able to wrap our head around the process, how it's going to be laid out, and so those are some pieces that still need to be pretty much worked out for us, and that's, I think, is what you're finding as a lot of the reservations. So I feel confident the charter office has refined their processes to where they're assisting applicants, and so I think it's just a matter of having an opportunity to go back and just review comments that are made, and if there's opportunity to see previous, or go back and watch previous recordings that give you an idea of how others presented their material, that may be helpful as well.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We're all about continuous improvement, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay. So with that, if there's no further questions from the panel, I'll entertain a motion on the open enrollment charter school application of Arkansas Virtual Tech Academy with consideration of their request to pull their application down and come back to us in 4 months.
I would move that we accept their request to pull the application and agree to their intent to come back within 4 months. And let's see what that brings.
A second.
So there is a motion by Mr. Baldwin, a second by Dr. Moore, that we allow the charter to pull their application down and represent in 4 months based upon feedback and guidance from the panel and from the charter office. Okay. So all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Ayes have it. So you will come back to us in 4 months. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, so we're going to take, let's say about a 15-minute break. That'll give us time to. That's great. Yeah, let's do that. Yep, so we're back in 15 minutes. are back. Okay, so our next agenda item is open enrollment charter applicant, Arkansas Executive Prep Academy, Harrison. Dr. Smith, will you please come forward and get us started on this agenda item?
Happy to do that. Welcome back, panel. Our second applicant for today is the Arkansas Executive Prep Academy from Harrison. Today we have Dr. Christy Tolan and Dr. Beth Shoemate here to present.
Very good. Before we get started, I need to make sure that everyone is sworn in. Is there anybody online joining on behalf? No? Okay, very good. Okay, all those giving testimony today on behalf of Arkansas Executive Prep Academy, Harrison, both in person, well, all in person, please stand and raise your right hand. Okay, thank you. Do you swear that the testimony or statement you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Okay, thank you. You may begin your presentation. And as I remind you, when you come to the microphone, please always state who you are each time. Yes, thanks.
I'm Dr. Christy Tolan, co-founder of Freedom Education Services. Okay. We are presenting a dream that we have been working on for over a year, maybe probably 2 years. And so putting that in 20 minutes is very difficult. We will honor your time and plan to keep our presentation within 20 minutes, but we would love to answer any questions that you have, because it's hard to present your dream in 20 minutes.
So you will give your presentation, and
Okay.
then afterwards we will ask questions. So
Okay.
feel free to completely go through the presentation, and then we'll have, after the 20-minute presentation, then we'll ask our questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we are honored to be here today to introduce you to the Arkansas Executive Prep Academy. We believe this model will bring some much needed innovation to the charter school space. We believe that there's no point in creating a charter school if it's just going to mirror what a traditional public school is going to look like. So our intention is to bring something very different that is currently not in Arkansas, and partner with our public, private, and homeschool friends in order to make us all better. Recently, our commissioner reminded us that a child's opportunities should never be defined by their zip code. They deserve an education that prepares them for life, for work, and for leadership from the very beginning of their school journey. And all across Arkansas, we see a challenge and an opportunity. Businesses are telling us that they need problem solvers, team players, and leaders who are adaptable and dependable. Families are telling us that they want more than test scores. They want schools that prepare their children for successful lives. We know Arkansas students, we know Arkansas schools, and we know the challenges and the incredible potential within our school systems. Together, as educators, we bring over 50 years of experience in Arkansas public schools, much of it in leadership. We've served at every level, from after-school tutor to the superintendent. We've taken schools that are low performing and transformed them into high performing institutions. We've taught every grade, from the youngest learners to AP courses, including special education. We've worked in the largest districts and among the smallest, and every experience we've had has taught us the same lesson, that the talent and the drive is here. And Arkansas students can achieve remarkable things. We have taken this knowledge and experience and channeled it into a bold vision, an education that prepares students not just to graduate, but to lead, innovate, and thrive, no matter where they live. This is more than education, it's a transformation built on deep Arkansas roots and guided by decades of proven experience. Harrison is my hometown and a community that I know and love. And as I grew up in that town, so did that town. It grew as well. It's still growing, and this community is a community that is desperate to change its reputation from the past. and it wants to move forward and grow and thrive. The region faces challenges, including limited space for new and growing businesses, which impacts economic development and job creation. We are at a critical point where businesses are finding it difficult to find space and skilled workers to meet the demand. The Harrison area serves as a work hub for not only Boone County, but also for Madison, Searcy, Carroll, and Newton counties. All 5 counties have an unemployment rate over 4%, with Searcy and Newton counties having a rate over 5% and Marion having a rate of over 6% right now. All are higher than the current state average of 3.7% and the national average of 4.2% unemployment. We have consulted the local labor market website, and these are the top growth occupations according to that as of July 2025, and we have also pulled the local Perkins information to look at what the top occupations are there as well. So why a charter school? In Harrison, families have limited free choices. Just 4 public schools and 3 small private religious schools are there. The fastest growing alternative has been homeschooling, but for many parents, this isn't their first choice, it's their only choice. In fact, the number of homeschooled students rose from about 1,200 in 22-23 to 1,500 in 23-24, a 25% increase in just 1 year. Parents are asking for more options, and our mission is to meet that need by providing a high-quality charter school alternative. When reimagining a school, we realized that elementary CTE is the linchpin for addressing the challenges we face with entitlement. Student entitlement is real and it's widespread, and addressing it in middle or high school is too late. To build hard work, teamwork, and responsibility, which these are all things that we are being asked to provide to business owners, in our students, these skills must be taught in elementary school and reinforced at home. Our model focuses on teaching practical life skills alongside academics. Students learn to contribute at home, and we work with the parents to support that, so they understand that teamwork and personal responsibility is so important.
Dr. Beth Shumate, co-founder of Freedom Education Services. While we call this a new model, every component is grounded in proven practices, reimagined and embedded into the school's core identity. Our approach results on 5 key tenets that you can see here on the slide, each supported by research and best practices. This model combines what works in order to maximize student growth. In the new model, students are supported by interdisciplinary teams who collaborate daily to co-plan, co-teach, and co-assess. These teams deliver personalized, master-based instruction, support career exploration, and develop professional and leadership skills. By implementing this model, we create a responsive, inclusive, sustainable learning environment, ensuring every student receives the right instruction from the right educator at the right time. The new model assists us in ensuring that transfer in and out of our school are on time. All students will receive grade level instruction, which is best practice, all while accelerating or receiving additional supports within their instructional teams. As you can see at the Arkansas Executive Prep Academy, the phrase Ivy League worthy academics reflects our commitment to deliver a world-class college prep education that challenges, equips, and inspires students to perform at the highest academic and intellectual levels, compared to those expected at elite institutions. Every course from STEM to humanities is designed to stretch critical thinking, argumentation, writing, and research skills at the collegiate level, far beyond surface level test preparations. Master-based progression ensures deep understanding and eliminates gaps that typically hinder success at the college level. Students may revisit, revise, and refine work to meet rigorous expectations. Capstones and portfolio work then showcase their intellectual growth, leadership, innovation, and readiness for competitive post-secondary opportunities, while students participate in Socratic seminars, oral defense, mock interviews, public speaking engagements to develop polished, persuasive, executive communication. As further demonstrated in this slide, Ivy League worthy at AEPA means our students leave high school not just college eligible, but college competitive, ready to thrive in the most demanding academic environments with transcripts, portfolios, and professional habits that reflect excellence, integrity, and leadership. We are committed to supporting the whole child, recognizing that academic success is deeply connected to students' mental and physical well-being. We are prepared to implement a comprehensive school wellness model that integrates preventative, responsive, and wraparound supports for students, staff, and families. Additionally, high school students will also be trained as registered behavioral technicians and in mental health first aid to allow for peer groups and volunteer hours for those that have interest in mental health field, as well as to give future executives tools to support and manage those they supervise.
Dr. Christy Tolan, co-founder of Freedom Education Services. Our parents at the center piece of the charter school is a key part of it. We see ourselves as co-creators in children's education. Our Parents at the Center program places families at the heart of school life, governance, and student success. Each family is supported by the Family Success Team, providing a dedicated point of contact to track progress, build trust, and support academic, behavioral, and emotional growth. Parents engage through monthly workshops, academies, leadership roles, and community classes, along with flexible communication. At AEPA, we don't just aim for students to be future ready or day one ready. We prepare them to be always ready. Ready to take a job, ace a test, earn a promotion, or tackle any challenge that moves them closer to their goals. From day one, students engage in the framework seen on this slide. This approach aligns with our mission to develop graduates who are confident, capable, and competitive regardless of background or circumstance. This is more than education, it's preparation for life, leadership, and success. Future fluent is the destination, while always ready is a mindset that we will instill by intentionally teaching, being prepared, professional, and purposeful every single day. At AEPA, every student is supported in full compliance with state and federal law. This includes students with dyslexia, gifted and talented learners, special education needs, English language learners, and those in migrant, homeless, foster, military, or any other unique circumstance. The Next Education Workforce model creates a naturally inclusive environment while providing individualized instruction and tailored plans, ensuring that every student can thrive and reach their full potential. As you can see, we set ambitious and measurable goals to ensure student success. While academic progress is challenging to measure without baseline data, our mastery learning model ensures results significantly above traditional public schools, preparing students to excel in every endeavor. In the next couple of slides, we will demonstrate how we will be an instrument of recruitment and retention for local industry and an asset to the local economy. With everything that we do, we want to add value, and that's what we have clearly communicated to everyone that who we have worked with is on the slide, and even those who are eager to jump in and support and be a part of this upon approval that aren't represented here.
We will offer an innovative approach to CTE. We have no intention of replicating services that are done exceptionally well by the local public school, but create something new that not only assists students with the skills necessary in their individual careers, but to assist the local economy. Students rotate through a back-of-the-house, front-facing roles, progressing from entry-level tasks such as custodial work and management position. By experiencing every role, students gain practical skills and useful insight. So this is my favorite part, full disclosure. So let me introduce you to the mall, which I consider the crown jewel of our education model. While every aspect of AEPA is thoughtfully designed, this component is where the learning from the earlier years comes together in a real-world applied setting. The image you see here is a sample for demonstration purposes. The front-facing side is fully public, serving as a hub for storefronts, startups, and incubation spaces. This space is designated to offer a vibrant business ecosystem where industry and entrepreneurship thrive side by side. On the reverse side of the mall, illustrated at the bottom of your picture, are our learning spaces. For safety, these two environments are connected by two secure entryways that you see there in the middle, ensuring that daily operations of the public and learning spaces remain separate and secure. Our high school students will actively work in the mall during the school day with schedules structured around academic commitments. In addition, designated spaces will be reserved for student-led startups cultivating entrepreneurship and innovation from the ground up. The mall bridges classroom learning with real-world experience and the entrepreneurial mindset preparing future executives. In our community, students will have the opportunity to explore vast pathways. What further sets this model apart, and the true driving force behind H2, is that it doesn't only serve students, it serves Harrison as a whole. With limited space for new and growing businesses in that city, the mall offers the flexibility to combine student learning and business incubation. This dual role approach equips students with real-world skill while addressing workforce demands. In short, AEPA doesn't just educate students, it empowers them to lead, innovate, and contribute meaningfully to the economic and social vitality of Harrison.
In the next 4 slides, we have provided a hypothetical day in the life of 3 AEPA students. Our first example is Emily, a kindergartner. You can see the activities of her day here. The focus for our lower elementary students is academic mastery first, critical thinking, foreign language acquisition, command of communication, and the prepared, purposeful, and professional focus of eliminating any type of entitlement. For the next student, here you can see the day of Jake, a 5th grader who just transferred into the AEPA. Our first focus for Jake will be to discover where he is at academically and establish an individualized plan with his team to begin his journey to success. Aiden is an 8th grader who is advanced in his coursework. He will have the option to take Cambridge Honors and/or high school courses for credit. The focus for grades 5 through 8 is guided career exploration, academic mastery, and the future fluent, always ready framework components. Let's fast forward through time to high school. Now, I'm sure at least one of you may be wondering, what happens if a student is advancing faster than the grade level we are adding each year at this point, since we want to start K-8 and add on that. That is exactly why we wanted to take a moment to explain the full vision of our model. At AEPA, we are fully committed to each student's progress and growth. We'll work with every student who needs to advance, ensuring they continue to be challenged and engaged. While it will take some time to get the mall fully operational, we are proactively establishing partnerships that will allow our students to access the same real-world learning experiences in the interim. Our approach ensures that no student's growth is limited by timing or logistics. From the very beginning, AEPA is designed to meet students where they are and propel them forward, giving every learner the opportunity to thrive academically and professionally. As you can see, we have a myriad of options for our students, ensuring their futures are bright. The key thing that we want you to know about our plans for AEPA students as graduates is that they will have the skills to do whatever they choose to do. They will be prepared and ready for whatever they want to do.
Dr. Beth Shoemate. Currently, we have approximately 336 students who have already expressed strong interest in attending AEPA, and that is before any formal advertising. That was a shocker to me too, in Harrison, Arkansas, to be very honest. But that shows you the need and the desire is there for this school. The early enthusiasm underscores the demand for the school designed to combine rigorous academics and real-world career-focused experiences. Based on this interest, our vision for sustainable growth, we are requesting an enrollment cap that aligns with our planned expansion. Upon reaching an enrollment threshold of 550 students, operational management of the charter school will transition to our CMO, Freedom Education Services, who will provide services such as district-level operations, human resources, finance, and enrollment services, just to name a few. Go ahead. We believe the next two slides are critical because they demonstrate our financial stability. As we all know, the greatest financial strength will come as we grow towards our target of 500 students as quickly as possible. That level of enrollment will allow us to maximize efficiencies and provide the most robust support for our students and staff. However, what I want to emphasize here is that even at just 100 students, which is far from our long-term goal, AEPA is financially stable. This slide demonstrates the real strength in our model when we move closer to our target of 500 and beyond. True financial strength and efficiency comes as enrollment grows, as there's no doubt about that. This growth allows us to reinvest significant resources back to our programs, all while maintaining a healthy reserve. So our waivers, and let me pause here a minute. After discussions with the department, we are asking to eliminate ALE because it is no longer a waiver that needs to be granted. And we also are asking to eliminate the required instruction K-12. Our thought process was because we were only doing K-8 in the beginning, but they explained that that was not needed. But they did ask that we add class size and teacher load. So that is an adjustment to our slide. And that is in your packet, I believe, from the department. When you see a list of waivers, I want you to understand something important. Every one of them is intentional. None of these waivers are about taking something away from students, but they are about giving students more. They are about creating the flexibility we need to design an education that looks forward, not backwards. We are asking for the freedom to build a model that equips students to become the next generation of executives, innovators, and leaders. A model that allows us to put resources where they matter most, in high-quality instruction, in real-world experience, and in preparing students to lead successful lives. These waivers aren't about lowering standards, they're about raising expectations. They are the tools that allow us to do better for our students, to meet the needs of families, and to prepare Arkansas for the future.
Dr. Christy Toland, co-founder of Freedom Education Services. Every child deserves the chance to reach their fullest potential, no matter their zip code. AEPA is not just a school, it's a promise to Arkansas students and our community. A promise that every student will be prepared to lead, to innovate, and to thrive in life, work, and leadership. By approving AEPA, you are giving our children the opportunity to become the next generation of leaders, problem solvers, and visionaries who will strengthen our communities, grow our economy, and shape the future of Arkansas. Together, we can make this vision a reality for our students, for our families, and for our state. Thank you.
All right, before we start our questions, I'd like to invite Ms. Rainey forward to share any legal concerns at this time.
Hi. We have no legal concerns. I do want to clarify that what AEPA said regarding waivers is correct. There's nothing that needs to be done on our end.
Okay.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Stewart?
Yes. First off, thank you so much for such a thorough, great presentation. It gave us, kind of a snapshot of what you all are looking at. So really appreciate that, and the plan. Some of the things I did want to point out, appreciated your parent involvement plan. Really appreciated the fact that you talked about mental health supports, and you're tying that into maybe a behavioral health technician aspect for students to roll into. We know that that's a big conversation in our state, and kind of a lack, a lacking area. So appreciated that. The mall idea, that's fantastic. I love the innovation around this. So wanted to start with that. Just a couple of questions. First off, and you may have already touched on this and I missed it, but from your teaching staff licensure, what are you looking at for that? I know you're starting with K through 8, but if you could kind of talk through that a little bit.
Yes. For licensure, we want fully certified license. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I know. We were so eager for the questions. I just got excited and forgot. Dr. Christy Toland, co-founder of Freedom Education Services. We want fully licensed and qualified teachers. With the next education workforce model, this is something that is different. It is not one teacher to 25 students. It is a team approach. And when we say team approach, it's not perhaps what you would think about necessarily with a special education co-teaching model. This approach is basically all hands on deck. These are all our kids. A collective efficacy is key. And so whenever we are hiring teachers, that certification is very important, but also the skill set that they bring to the table. So the more dually licensed teachers will be a gold mine if we can find those. But we will be seeking out highly qualified, but also with specific skill sets who will work well with others and be able to contribute well to that team approach.
Mm-hmm. So thinking about that with the team approach, can you kind of explain what that looks like? You did a little bit, but will you have a lead and then a team member? Is there a rotation? And then kind of a second part to that question would be, I know, just geographically with the area, do you have any concerns in, finding enough teachers?
I want to address that one first.
Okay.
Because we have done zero advertisement or anything, and obviously because we're not approved, but just by word of mouth, as we have worked to seek partnerships and held meetings to understand the needs of the community, word of mouth has gotten around, and the teachers are actually seeking us out at this point. And we have had some really, really incredible ladies and gentlemen come and put forth their, their services for the school. Highly qualified, dually certified, and possibly be a great fit. So right now, with 0 students on the roster, we're fully staffed if we did offer them a job and were approved. But what we've learned in speaking with those individuals who have come forward with interest to teach in this model is that they're looking for something different. And these individuals are very talented, very experienced, but they're needing a change. And they understand that the model that they are currently in is not working for the students they're serving. And they want to be a part and be leaders and spearhead something that they believe in, they want to affect change within the community. So there may be a day that we might have the same struggles that everyone does, but we are going to be proactively watching for those stars that have that special it that makes a teacher, that dynamic teacher, the thing that you can't define academically, but those are the ones that we're looking for, and we will be proactively seeking those out.
So when you think about your model and bringing those new amazing teachers, into that model, what is your kind of runway for professional development, or to ensure that your dream is, done the way you dream it?
Absolutely. The first thing that we want to do is we want to go to Arizona State University in Phoenix, and we want them to tour what I have been doing for the past 2 years. I have been touring the schools in the local area around Phoenix and Tempe, Mesa, and several of the suburbs there. I want them to see it in action. Because that is where they will see the power of this model. I went, the first time I ever went to observe this model and met Dr. Brent Madden and the team at Arizona State who are responsible for developing it. I had read about it, but it's not until you see it in person and see the reaction of the children and the responses of the teaching staff and the community educators and everyone who has come together for collective efficacy. These are our kids. It's not this kid belongs to this person, this kid belongs to the special ed teacher, they're our kids. And we are responsible for their success, and they will do anything to ensure that. And it's just very powerful, and that's the first thing I want to do. The second thing is we would partner with Arizona State University, which they are prepared to do, where they have specific training that they do. In my previous district, where I just retired, that I retired from, we worked with Arizona State to implement this model in a D school that we had for an intermediate school. They were a D. It has transformed them. I'm not sure what they're going to find out this afternoon as far as their letter grade, but within 1 year we had improved that to a B school. So it's just amazing what can happen.
That's super helpful information. So
Okay.
you would anticipate then there would be peer support, whether it be in the established model in Arizona, your staff would have that connection to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's very helpful. I don't want to take too much time, but I know my colleagues have some questions as well. But you mentioned SPED support. That's going to be tied in to that team teaching model as well. So am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, yes. Within the team of educators, that includes an instructional a specialist, a special ed teacher, or somebody who is qualified with those credentials to be in there and to provide those services real time as they are needed. If there's a situation where there's behaviors that, disruptions and things like that, then we will have a place for those things to be addressed through our mental health model. But academically, this model really just naturally lends itself for those special ed students to receive access to grade level instruction, while at the same time getting that support in their deficit areas so that they can participate alongside their grade level peers.
Great,
Yes.
thank you. And then finally, have you thought about tying any of this into pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship? Because I know I was super excited, I have to say, to see your pre-educator pathway
Yes.
on there as well. I think that is super smart and great for your community. So just thinking about that pre-apprenticeship piece.
Yes, one of the key things that makes this model work is interns, and we would want the certified teaching aides as well to be in there. And we're all about also growing our own. So it's going to be very important to have to grow new teachers. A lot of us are getting gray in the hair and long in the tooth, so there's going to have to be somebody to take the torch. And having a grow your own model is also a key part of that, where we will implement that through the Teacher Rising program.
Yeah, perfect. And then some of your other key CTE programs, would you tie those to industry kind of in the same way through
Absolutely.
apprenticeship? Okay.
Yes. Yes, and the mall is going to help us a lot with that.
Yeah, and I said that was my final question. On the mall,
Okay.
just for my own curiosity, where are you envisioning that would be located?
Do you want to speak to that? Okay.
Dr. Beth Shoemate. Ideally, that's a whole new building.
Okay.
Ideally. As I was thinking about anticipating what questions that you guys would ask us, one of the questions, if I was sitting there, and I guess being a superintendent, my brain works to finance, is, well, how come you haven't done this before? If y'all have been in this, why haven't you done it? So I learned through a previous experience that when you have bonds on your buildings, you cannot rent space, because that's an IRS violation. You probably already know that. I didn't until we violated it, and then I found out really quickly. So to answer your question-ish, it would need to be a new space, but not one that bonds could be taken out on, which charters don't do bonds anyway. So that's part of why it fits really well with the charter model. Because another piece is the sustainability of this is renting those spaces to businesses so that they can run their business, but that can help subsidize the education piece of that. Mm-hmm. So I think it has to be a new building. We currently have a building targeted, but it will be a temporary facility because it's not going to be big enough to do everything we want to do.
Mm-hmm. Great, okay. Well, I'll let my colleagues have a turn too. Thank y'all very much.
Dr. Bacon?
Yeah, I appreciate the detail that you all have provided, and specifically in these responses. I know to the work you did with DESE, you've really given us a great perspective on what you plan to do. I think I just have sort of two areas of questions. The first one would be sort of as experienced educators. I know, Dr. Philin, you said you recently retired, I think you said. I know you're the superintendent in magazine, I believe. What role would you two have in this organization, and what does governance and leadership look like if you were to be approved?
Okay, so can I go first? So let me go first as the sitting superintendent because that's the most important part, right? Not that she's not important, but you know.
I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean. So number one, I want you to know that.
She wants you to
Oh, I'm
say
sorry,
your name.
Dr. Beth Shoemate. I got too excited about that. So here's what I want you to know. When we started this whole thing, I thought, you know what, I better get my ducks in a row, make sure I don't have an ethics violation or violating any laws. So, in my hands right here, I have a letter from my board president saying they are fully aware of what I am doing and they are very supportive of what I am doing. I will be transitioning out of magazine in the next 3 years. So my contact with this is only as support and only as volunteer at this point in time until I then retire.
Right.
Go ahead, I'll let you go now.
Yes. And Dr. Christy Toland, co-founder of Freedom Education Services, my plan is I will be the superintendent of the school.
Do you have, I know you said you've had some outreach, which I'm not surprised with your backgrounds and experience and reputations that you would have had some superstar teachers reaching out. From leadership, school leadership, you envisioned you would hire a principal and have a sense of what you'd be looking for in that role? And
Yes, definitely we would want to hire a principal just for the day-to-day operations and somebody to be in classrooms and be the boots on the ground for sure, and be personable with parents and be up there. We'll be looking for someone whose values align with our values and mission for the AEPA, and someone who is experienced, but also someone who can think big, because this is not traditional, and someone who can, I don't want to say roll with the punches, but can be very flexible, because with any new implementation, we know from experience that there are going to be hiccups, and that leader has to be dynamic, and they have to be able to respond and think quickly and problem solve to resolve those, and someone that I can work really well with. We need to be a team and a united front, and be able to disagree with each other to make our organization better, and in that way. Yes.
From the staying on the governance line, so board perspective, I know you've laid out some sort of expectations for what you would be seeking in board members. Where are we in that process to know who would actually be oversight for this organization?
Yes, so we have reached out to, we would like a higher ed representative, and so we have reached out to Dr. Alicia Shaw at Arkansas State University, and she has agreed to serve on our board.
Dr. Beth Shoemate, sorry. So I think part of the important part here, just for everybody's clarity, those that are joining us online, what I want everybody to be sure and know is we are intentionally targeting Arkansas people that are in different parts of the state, because while we're starting in Harrison, that is not where we intend to end. We intend this model to be much bigger, and we think it is much bigger, but we need to start somewhere where we can, as Dr. Toland said, get the kinks worked out of it, so then we can make this a very, very big model. So making sure that our students, no matter if they graduate at Harrison or somewhere else, that they are always ready, like we talked about, and that their local community knows who they are, so we can move forward. We have about 2 or 3 targeted individuals, board of 5. They will have complete oversight. They will act just as a regular school board would. 9 hours of PD when they first get on, 6 hours a year. They can carry over 3. All of the things. So they will have the normal process of board governance.
The other question is in regards to sort of this demonstration of need. You've laid out some things here. I think you threw a number 336 of expressed interest. I see here intent to enroll, and there's an 85 enrollment, expressed interest 105. Talk to me about what's realistic of an expectation if you were approved for what this actual enrollment could be year one, based on what this, I mean, I know you haven't done any recruiting because you haven't been approved, but
Right.
just based on the word of mouth and this, where's that 336 number come from, and just sort of walk me through what an expectation would be.
That number comes from
Tell yourself.
Christy Toland, yes, and Dr. Christy Toland, co-founder of Freedom Education Services. That number comes from actual people who have reached out and said, we want more information, we've heard about this, what are you planning, we hope you're bringing, when are you gonna know if you're approved, you know, those things, we want our kids here. We have those individuals that we provided who are actually on a list. If approved, they want the application tomorrow.
Okay.
Or not application, but enrollment paperwork.
Sure.
So they're really excited and they're ready to go. They're convinced. But that other number, that's people who they've reached out, said, I want to do something different. I'm considering homeschooling. I've heard you may be doing a charter school, and if you get approved, we want more information, because we are considering that.
Have you all had some community sessions? I mean, how have all these people heard about the work that you're doing to date?
Yes, we have. We held some meetings, just started out really, really small. I think at our first meeting, we actually had one person show up. And then good news travels fast and good gossip travels faster. So after that, we started having a lot more people. And then it was just people, a lot of my family, they're educators there, just coming to them at work and asking, okay, we've heard this, what's going on, what's she doing? Different things like that, and it has just kind of spread like wildfire, I guess. And yes, and they've just gotten behind, and they said, you know, we want to talk with you about this. We've been thinking about doing something different. For whatever reason, then there's a number, you know, we just feel called to do something different. And so that's how that's come about.
And you've given us two models. It looks like sort of a 500, which would be what you're asking capacity. One is a 100. Where do you really think this is going to land? I mean, I know you can't predict, but what do you really think is going to be most likely your year one enrollment?
Year one, I always want to estimate low. I always want to think low. I want to think worst case scenarios. It's going to be that bottom 100, that low number. I believe it will be more than that. I don't believe it will be 500, which is why we have those different scenarios for budgets that we send in. So I will be really pleased with 100. I will be even more pleased with 200, and so on.
But you're pretty confident in that 100 number as
Yes.
being achievable, basically.
Yes.
Okay. I'll move on to someone else.
Okay, Mr. Baldwin.
Thank you, appreciate the presentation and discussion. I also appreciate the budget y'all put in here, and that made sense to me. And I did have a question about the 500, because you did kind of have that listed here on the front page as your first year, and I thought that was progressive. So I like the 100 better, and I like the fact that you stair-stepped it, so it looked to me like you were trying to find your break-even point, and break-even looks like it's about 100, which, you know, that kind of makes sense. I also appreciated the fact that teachers in Harrison are excited about this, that you can bring teachers to this, because that is another question I had, was how do you recruit teachers in a small rural community? And I've lived in those, so I know the limitations of the trained folks there that can teach. I mean, it's just hard in small towns. Dr. Bacon's comments about the board, I think it would be good to try to find the board chair sooner rather than later, because that will pyramid down to other board members that you might be able to recruit. So you want to find someone that is well thought of and is influential and persuasive in your Harrison market area. And maybe that also help with business support. And not that this person needs to be a business person, but business will look at your board and determine their level of support based on who they see involved like that. Have you all talked to the community college, or is there a community college in Harrison?
Yes, there is. And yes, we have.
Okay, so
Yes.
what type of relationship do you see with them, assuming you get approved to begin?
Yes, if we are approved, they are literally in our backyard of the facility that we have, we plan to be in if approved. And I see a lot of opportunity. They do different types of community classes, and it's basic stuff, just at home, accessing those, dual enrollment, early college credits, and they also just opened a robotics center, and we want to be tight with them on that, especially.
I think your program and the innovation of it, I think the relationship with the community college, some form of contractual agreement that you all have on what you do, what they do, and how you cross over would be a really good thing. I think that you don't have to do that on day one, but as you step into it. I've got in the application you put together what looks like an organizational chart of sorts. It's got blue, red, and gray colors on it. And I just wanted to walk through that a little bit and have you explain this to us. So you all are at the top of the chart, and y'all are both blue, and then the headmaster and principal are also blue. So tell us why y'all are blues. Does that mean that those are employees of the Freedom Education Service, or maybe you explain how that works to us?
So let me see if I can find that in Dr. Beth Shoemate, sorry. Let me see if I can find that so I can speak to that specifically, because it's been a minute since I've looked at that. So I think what I want to make sure that you all understand is, while Freedom Education Services is a 501c3 sponsor of Arkansas Executive Academy, and would eventually act as a CMO, the two are two separate entities and will be structured as two separate entities. So Freedom Education Services has a board, a nonprofit board, and Arkansas Executive Academy would have a board. Christy, if we got to the point that we couldn't find a superintendent, or we couldn't afford a superintendent, that is when Dr. Tolan would step in to be the superintendent. Otherwise, we would want a headmaster there, which is on your list, and I have no idea where my sheet is, so I'm just winging it. And then a principal. I'm not sure I answered your question.
So with the four people in blue, both of you, and then a headmaster and principal, would they be employees of Freedom Education Services? Or would
No,
they be,
sir.
But you all would be.
Well,
You're not,
I'm not employed by anybody but
Okay.
Magazine School District.
But let's look out 4 years, 5 years.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. So you all would be employed by Freedom Education Services.
Yes.
Would the headmaster and principal be employed by Freedom Education?
Arkansas Executive Prep Academy.
Oh, so they would be down in the school.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's the only way it works.
And then as you expand, I was interested to hear you say that this is not the only school that you want to do this at.
That's
that you
correct.
Want to grow. Are you all the only employees of Freedom Education Services, or I know you're not? So how many employees does Freedom Education Services have now, and as you all grow, what do you foresee the future of that looking like as far as staffing?
Okay, so I'm going to answer a little part of that, and then I'll let you. So here's the other piece that I want you to know about Freedom. Freedom is operating really in two spaces, and probably shouldn't even go into all of this, but I'm going to for transparency purposes, okay? And how, you were asking, how do we know about our enrollment? Well, this is a piece of it. So Freedom also is operating as a EFA vendor. We do tutoring, we do learning pods, so we are in the homeschool community already, which is how we're getting that information of, hey, I really don't want to homeschool, but I don't feel like I've got any choice. So we are seeing lots of kids there that just want to do something different, which is what spurred this. We were already thinking about this, but it's just been a really nice way to understand what was really needed in Harrison. I hope that answers your question. You want to?
Yes. Dr. Christy Toland, a co-founder of Freedom Education Services. We currently have 8 employees and 8 paid employees. I am an employee there, but I'm not getting paid. So I'm not sure if I'm technically an employee, but I'm a co-founder.
So the employees that you have, are they active with the homeschool students? Is that their sole role?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so they're educators.
Yes.
Okay, no accountants or lawyers or
No.
folks, back office folks like that.
Right.
Okay. I think that's it. And I appreciate the disclosure about Freedom Education Services, because that is important to us to understand what it's doing and what it might do in the future. What I was thinking. So 5 years from now, what do you see Freedom Education Services doing? Do you see it having another school, or 3 schools, or 5 schools? Do you see it going out of state and y'all becoming some national provider? What is your vision for that?
Right now, our vision is to serve and support students in Arkansas and the families in Arkansas. And within 5 years, we would like to bring this program to other places within our state, because we believe there's need there. But as far as becoming a charter school chain, I guess is the way I would think about it. That's not on our bingo card right now for that. We are focused on the families and the students of Arkansas.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Moore. Well, thank you for your presentation. I really appreciate the attention to detail and take into account the nuances in Arkansas. That's really refreshing, seeing a lot of times, it's out-of-state folks and they don't know all the ins and outs of our things, and it was your diligence to pay attention to things happen in Arkansas, and your knowledge of that were well noted in your application. Most of my questions have already been asked by my colleagues. I do want to ask, first of all, Harrison, I love that you're wanting to serve an area that's not currently served. So often, new schools are popping up where we already have other charters, and though it may be merited that additional ones, we long to see charters in places where there aren't already opportunities there. So I'm excited for you to pick Harrison. And when you mentioned expanding in the state, are you hoping, if you do expand in the future, I know right now that's in the future and not the big piece here, but entertain me for a second. Do you think it'll be other rural communities like that, or will you just wait and see where the need is and just base it on where you see the need?
Dr. Beth Shoemake remembered that time. So I want to be real clear about this, because it's a great question and one we've really wrestled with, because both of us are from rural areas. That's where our heart is. But I think the definition in Arkansas of rural is very different depending on who you talk to. So my current rural is 434 kids, okay? That is not going to sustain this model. So rural, yes, but in populated enough places that a mall would work, because while Christy may disagree with me, I love the mall. I just do. I think it's awesome, and that is the change in CTE. That's it. So it's got to be a place that's big enough to support that. I think Harrison was a perfect pick, because you've got a lot of people, but then you're very isolated around the outside of it. However, I can see other places that are desperate for charters in Arkansas that may be bigger places, that may have private schools and public schools and no charters, and y'all can probably think about 10 or 12 of those already. Those are the kind of places that this model would work. But in a very, very rural, isolated area, we might could scale it way back, but I don't think you get what you don't get the full model that way.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So thank you for that. And then on your CTE pathways, I like the consideration that you have in the CTE pathways that you've listed, the H2 pathways. And you say what H2 career pathways will be offered. Do you plan on offering other CTE pathways that are not on the H2 list, or only the H2 ones?
Dr. Beth Shoemake, no ma'am. If it's not H2, we don't do it in Arkansas anymore. So we're going to make sure that we stay true to H2.
Okay, well, we do still offer pathways that are not H2. We have a lot of them.
Highly discouraged. Maybe that's the better. We are highly discouraged on my side of the world to do anything but H2.
Okay.
So that's the thought process.
That is true. Well, I will just reiterate that students could go through a non-H2 pathway, and as long as they're getting concurrent credit in Gen Ed, they will still be able to get merit or distinction.
Absolutely,
So
and those, I'm glad you said that. So those students that, let me see, cosmetology would be a good example. If a student wants to be a cosmetologist, would we set up something for that child to make sure they can achieve their dream? 100%. If that is what that kid's passion is, then that's what we do. I mean, as educators, that's what we do. We make sure our kids can achieve their goals, period.
Because ironically, some of the programs that are offered at our institutions of higher education may not fall into the H2 pathways, but a student could still get a technical certificate and still get distinction. So just to clarify that. And then help me, and I'm sure I'm the only one on the panel that needs this, but when I first read your application, I was picturing Little House on the Prairie, like that's my age, like when I'm thinking all the different grades, all in a classroom, learning together. Could you just explain it a little bit more to me because of the explicit instruction that's going to be given, yet there are going to be different grade levels together? That's the part I'm trying to reconcile.
Dr. Christy Toland, co-founder of Freedom Education Services. So in the model where we would have multiple grade levels or different age groups within a group, that the focus there is skill. That's particular skill that they are working on. Is it two-digit multiplication? Is it, whatever it is? And it may be that we have a third grader that's advanced that needs two-digit multiplication, but we have a fifth grader who's struggling with that would also be there for support. So that's kind of the how that comes together and why we would have different grade levels within one learning setting at a time based on their need. But everybody gets their grade level instruction, their age appropriate instruction from a certified teacher team that's qualified to give that to them. So there's movement. How that works is there's movement. So within those teacher teams, it may be that within the schedule time, it may be that Mrs. Jones gets the third grader, the fifth grader, and then the fourth graders that are needing help with that. We have enrichment as well as support going on, but it's the same skill being taught. And this would be after the main instruction has happened within the block schedule.
So your tier 1 instruction is still with their grade level?
Yes, yes, yes. Unless we have a Sheldon Cooper in the group, which then they may be they may be in with the older kids for all of their instruction. Yes.
And I would just add and echo what the others have said. When I first saw the application, I thought it was expecting 500, like you were saying, we are going to have 500 the first year, and that was one of my greatest concerns because that seems very unrealistic given the population and size of all the schools around. So much more comfortable hearing you say and understand that 100 you would still be able to sustain and grow over time. That's a much more reasonable expectation. So just overall very impressed with your application and ideas.
Thank you.
Dr. Bashir Duncan.
Thank you. So as a former project-based teacher, I just really applaud the relevancy and the real-world skills that your innovative model focuses on. And as was asked earlier about student involvement, I saw students thrive in that environment that did not thrive in the traditional setting, especially at the secondary level. So with that, it's important to you all that they're learning leadership skills and your future fluent framework. Talk to me a little bit how students might be involved in the day-to-day running of the school and in influencing the future model, the mall, etc. If families and community come up in that response, that's great too.
Okay, that's going to be that key program that we're developing, the Parents at the Center. That's where that happens. That's where everyone comes together and the magic really happens for that. You know, even as principals, we had student government, and what I mean by that, that's committees of students who, I know I had lunch with my student committee every Tuesday, and we would, they would tell it all, okay, what they were happy about, what they were disgruntled about, and can't you do something about the fish sticks in the cafeteria, all of those things. Those were things that they were passionate about, and it was important to them, and I think that is a key part, a key thing that we will have to incorporate student voice within this model, and as you know, as we run into hiccups and things like that, or maybe even things that we don't even see as a hiccup, that student panel, not panel, but that student group, that advisory group, they'll tell us, and we will have that key perspective. That's the same thing with Parents at the Center, in working directly with our parents and having that contact, that specific contact that the parents will have. Because, you know, sometimes, and this has been our experience, sometimes it's not that parents don't want to be engaged, but it may be that they're intimidated about coming to the school, or just they didn't have great experiences, and they don't trust the school. And so that's why we want to match our families up with one point of contact, that family team, so that they will have that person they can go to and ask, talk about the things that they need to talk about, any concerns that they have, or help that they may need. So that's where we see all of that happening, and our students will be a key part of how we move forward. Yes.
Dr. Beth-Shumate, so let me talk about something we really didn't talk about. So that entitlement piece on the elementary side, the addressing of it on the elementary side, let me tell you what we mean by that. Okay, so my kids are grown, and probably like a lot of people, I may or may not have made them make up their bed, or sweep the floor, or cut up vegetables, or whatever, right? So what we have now is my kids, they haven't had kids yet, but they're that age, right? They don't even know what developmentally appropriate is. So to give you an example, in Japan, kids that are in school serve themselves lunch. There is no lunch lady flipping food on their trays. And they do that so that they learn portion control, they learn healthy eating, all of those things. But how many of us know that by the age of 4, it is developmentally appropriate for a kid to cut up their food? And when have we taught that skill, right? When is it developmentally appropriate for the kids to mow the grass? Because I know at 12, my daddy was like, you get after the mowing because the grass is high, right? But we've not taught our kids that anymore. And it's not because we don't want to, it's because we just don't know. So the piece at Parent in the Center is much bigger than just let's pull the parents in and make them feel good and let's have a literacy night. I mean, that's not what this is about. This is also about what is developmentally appropriate. Let us help you teach these skills to your kid. And by the way, Mom and Dad, now we want you to let them cook dinner for you tonight, so that we are all part of a team. We all have the skills that we need to move forward. That's where we see the CTE part coming in so strongly there, because we're teaching them life skills from the little bitties until they graduate.
Thank you. I appreciate your passion and sharing some specific examples. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. So could you say a little bit more about what you are anticipating students, teachers, and families will need with your model? What are you anticipating?
Dr. Christy Toland, that's a great question. In our work with the homeschooling families, especially right now, we have gotten some really great insight on the specific needs of the families in the area. We're not just working with homeschooling families, we're also working with public school families as well through tutoring and support in that area. There are a lot of families, it's a high poverty area. It's also, there's just a lot of families who just don't know what their options are. They don't know or understand that tutoring is an option. They don't understand that there are programs out there. They just don't know that can help them. That if transportation is a problem, you know, there is a transportation service in Harrison that can help them. Our office is right in the middle of a lot of other nonprofits, and we've been connecting and trying to, you know, organize all of our resources because they are working with families in their respective areas, but they are needing support with education, and so they're referring them to us and vice versa. So there are a lot of just basic needs that we anticipate, but there's also a lot of guidance and just informational, keeping people informed on what is available to them. Also, just knowing how to work with their children at home. How, you know, providing resources. Do they need flashcards? Do they need, you know, do they need more books? If we are telling them, read with your child at home, do they have books at home to be able to do that with? Mm-hmm. If not, we do. And here, you can check these out. All of those things, we really just want to just wrap our arms around them and just hug them and bring them in to all of the resources, all of the things that we can put together and help them and their family be successful. With a lot of people, even in the education world, in that area, some of the people that I've spoken with have said that's a fabulous dream, but that's Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas. They do those things. We don't have that kind of money here. Well, you know, that gets me fired up. They may have a lot of resources over there, but that doesn't mean we can't do this. We can. And so just bringing hope, not to sound too preachy, but just bringing hope to that area that they can have those things that they see everyone else having, and that they don't feel that they can have access to, because they absolutely 100% can, and we plan to bring it if approved.
Thank you so much. No further questions.
Well, thank you for your presentation, and thank you for the additional information you provided to the charter office's questions that did help us quite a bit to get a better picture. I do have a couple of questions in the CTE space.
Okay.
So looking at what you indicated as your after you did like a labor market review, it looks like July, and then the top areas for growth. It looks like there's some alignment on some of the areas you identified that could fit in accounting, business, finance, management, retail management. But it looks like you had quite a bit that fell in the health science space. And I'm just wondering, like nursing services, you said you want to include H2 pathways, but that's something you didn't indicate. And so just kind of trying to figure out why not those areas.
Everything that we have been planning is very intentional, and we don't want to replicate anything that the public schools, the surrounding public schools are doing really, really well. We want to partner with them. We want to, we call them our friends, our homeschool friends. We want to have a good, strong relationship with everyone around, and we don't really see if we can share resources, if we can give them access to things that we're doing that they're not, then our hope is that they will give us access to things that they are. North Arkansas College right now has a really strong nursing program, and it also affords high school students to be a part of that. And so we would want to access that with them instead of just creating a whole new situation on our.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say.
Okay.
Okay. So then next, can you describe a little bit more the early career exposure opportunities for your students? I know you gave an example of, I think it was a fifth grader, what that looks like for them. Can you kind of walk us through a little bit more detail of what that looks like, and then how that's going to fold into at least getting them to like career development?
Yes. So this is where our community educators of the new model, next education workforce model, comes in. This is where we bring in experts to start really talking about, maybe it is the nurse or a doctor or a banker or someone within those pathways and within their interest. We're going to be doing interest inventories early and often to kind of see how they are growing and developing in their passions as they move through. But getting them out into seeing a lot of the exploratory type stuff, that may be visiting different places, touring, but that's also, that's limited, and just taking a tour is limited in what it can do. We also want to bring them in and do a demonstration or different things like that, and talk about what it actually takes to be a doctor. You don't just show up and start making money, which is oftentimes what kids think. You just go from point A to point B and it's a straight line and you just start making money. We want them to really understand that no, the chores that you're doing right now at home, that's giving you a firm foundation. A work ethic, because doctors work 80 to 100 hours a week or more. They sleep at the hospital sometimes, things like that. It's not that simple, and you have to have that drive and that urgency to excel in that. So we start with the young ones with building those skills, addressing the entitlement and things like that, and moving up with the chores. That becomes progressively stronger as we go. And then we incorporate that exploration and those community instructors coming in, and then we start preparing them for, and even through our enrichment cycles, we'll be doing a lot of STEAM work, and a lot of specific mini courses that they can attend as well within that enrichment cycle for that.
Okay. And your school counselors model, what does that look like for this school?
So I think there's two.
And your intent is to have,
Dr. Beth Shoemate.
Yeah. And then also your intent on having a license. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, school counselor, we will have a school counselor, nor as other schools do. Okay. But I think one thing that I want you to know is that we also intend, after we are in a permanent structure, to apply for a wellness center. So that we can have a doctor, a dentist, a optometrist on site, as well as mental health counselors on site. We will work to get contracted mental health support there, but that also is why we want to train all of our kids, because let's be honest, you guys have been in executive roles, and you know sometimes you have someone that comes in that you are in charge of that absolutely will lay down on the floor in the fetal position, and you have to know how to deal with that at that moment, right? True story, happened. So that is why all of these pieces are so intentional on mental health first aid, registered behavior technician, and any time that we can get a high school student that has been trained and really has a heart for that career to work with our elementary kids, y'all, that is powerful. It is super powerful. So those supports will go up and down and all over the place in our model.
So I guess I'm trying to, so outside of the mental health pieces, so the career counseling pieces, what does that look like for your students?
Dr. Christy Toland. I can, there are career coaches that work. I know one in particular that works specifically with Harrison School District right now. That is what we would seek, to have that type of a situation within there, so that while our students are making their student success plans and really honing in on deciding on a pathway, that they can have that guidance, they can have that resource to access different maybe touring different jobs, maybe even applying at different places, and then also filling out college applications and stuff like that. So that is definitely a partnership that we would want to pursue within our school.
Because I did note in your application that you mentioned that you would seek Perkins funding for some. Looks like you said that.
Yes.
So you're also saying that you would also seek a career coach grant for your school.
Yes.
And you know that that's a shared cost between the school and the agency.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The other question I have is in regards to work-based learning.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around the whole mall idea and how that works. And so as I'm understanding it, there will be business industry partners that will kind of maintain these spaces. They'll maintain their daily operation, and then students are coming in to provide that work as well. Are those paid or unpaid experiences? How does that work? And is there intentional that whoever is in the mall, is it going to be alignment to the H2 pathway, so students are getting that career practicum experience, or how is that all going to be worked out?
Dr. Beth Shoemate, I hope I can remember all the parts of that. So
And I'm just
stop me if I don't, okay?
And I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around
No,
it,
I got you.
so
I got
we'll
you.
work through it together.
Okay. All right. So in the mall, we will make sure that we have those pathways there. But that doesn't mean that we're going to say no business, you cannot come in because you are not in that pathway, because I don't think that does justice to what we're wanting. I think you need to know that one question I would have is, so do you mean this business is only open from 8 to 3? No. That business operates their operation hours, whatever the mall hours are. It may be 9 o'clock at night. I mean, we'll have to make that determination based on want and need and all of those things. So, and I've already forgotten part of your question. So Students will go in and work. They will be paid. What we are going to ask our businesses is that if you want to be part of our mall, we need you to offer our students jobs first before anybody else is brought in. That's just part of the model. You want a space, we'd love to have you, but our kids need jobs. And I think that's important in a high poverty area, that students are able to see that success and to start making some money for their family. Because that's what motivates kids, motivates all of us, right? Okay, what part did I not answer?
Yeah, it did. And
Okay.
so in your mall space, what is your goal of how many business partners will be in those spaces?
Okay, so if we're dreaming the big dream, right, and I've built a new building, in my head, what I see is I've got a corner that is my wellness center and all the medical. I have a corner that may be a bank, maybe, something along that line. And then I have lots of little incubation spaces and business spaces. It may be a florist. It may be a retail person. That's why the pictures that I put on that slide were so different. I mean, what's in a mall? Well, you name it, that's what could go in this mall. Because the point is to teach our kids how to be executives. And it doesn't matter it matters to them later on what area they're executives in, but if I can get that leadership role first out of the gate before anybody else does, then how much more advanced and how much more ready am I to take on that next role? Because we know leadership is leadership, right? I mean, you might be in education or you might be running a business, but a lot of those skills are transferable skills. So the sky's the limit. Now, we have worked with the chamber, and the chamber has given us a couple of businesses that are talking about coming to Harrison that I can't even tell you what they are, but like restaurants and that kind of stuff, I can see that. I don't think there's a limit. I think it's who can we partner with to give exposure to our kids?
So, I want to ask the question. Worst case scenario, what happens if you cannot find the business partners to go into the mall area? How does that impact or affect the student experiences, and what would be your plan B to keep the integrity of your program and provide those experiences for students that they're signing on for?
And your finances.
Absolutely.
So,
We will, yes, thank you, Dr. Christy Toland. We will do pop-up student businesses, student-led, the entrepreneurship piece will be key there. If we don't have anyone who wants to open something up there, then we will set up a system to where our students can do that, because we're going to ensure that they're prepared and capable of doing that with guidance, of course, guidance and support. But that would be how we would use that space, our plan B, if we didn't have already established businesses who wanted to come in and utilize the space and the workforce that we have right there for them.
So that what I hear you saying is that you would revert back to maybe like an SEB model or so, SBO, to
Yes.
facilitate that.
Yes.
Dr. Beth Shoemate.
And I didn't mean to cut in on Dr. Wright.
That's okay.
But it was just along those same lines,
Yeah.
because I'm just envisioning you're
100%.
now in the business of rental property, basically, which that gives me pause. So I was
Right.
wondering, addition to student.
So we would not build a mall without having the business commitments already. And I know they can always back out, right? But our model, when you looked at our finances, did not factor that in at all, because it just depends. So there was no rental income in our finance model that we sent to you guys.
So I guess beyond the finance piece of it for me is, so when you're promoting the model to students and families, you're also, from what I hear you say, is also promoting the mall model as being an opportunity for students to have built-in work-based learning experiences, built-in opportunities for them to be able to further explore their pathways on site, which is advantageous to families because of the transportation and all those pieces. So then my question is, if that piece does not come together, then how will that impact that experience for students? Because I feel like I can wrap my mind around, so if we use the school-based, enterprise model and say, okay, we're gonna do maybe like, we're selling t-shirts and things like that promote the school, or if we're gonna do a coffee shop, we can, but then when we get into like ag, graphic and design and robotics, how do we still support those pathways to make sure that they're getting as robust of experience as their peers that may not be in that pathway?
So then I think we go back to a question that you asked earlier about internships and apprenticeships. Then we go to, let's say robotics. We go to FedEx and we work out an internship for a kid. And paid, not paid, depends on which way you go with that, and we would obviously explore that because we want our kids to be paid. If a student doesn't have transportation, then we feel like it is our responsibility to figure out a way to get that kid there. So whatever that means. So through additional partnerships, moving kids, if we have to take them to PACE, if we have to take them to FedEx, if we have to take them, name your business, then that's how that would work.
So you're saying that you would figure their transportation out as in like individual, because I know that also in that transportation is not something that you were planning to do
Only if
on.
they could not provide their own transportation.
Okay. I'll come back around to that. So, other question, I want to make sure I fully understand. So we have a student that is in 3rd grade and they may be accelerated. We have a student that's in 5th grade that may need some scaffolding and support. So those students are going to be in the same space, learning at the same time, but that is more of in a tutoring type of environment, not their core instruction. Can you further explain what that's going to look like? Because I'm just trying to imagine how that 5th grade is going to feel about being in a grade with a 3rd grade.
Sure. Dr. Christy Toland. It's really within our blocks of time for instruction. It's just, they're very mobile, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It's not, the collective, everybody is a team. It's not going to be something that is that is different or still very inclusive. I'm trying to find my words here. Still very inclusive. It is not going to be something, it's going to be normal, part of the normal day. It's not going to be something that, they get pulled out to go to special ed services or, something like that. It's just something that happens every day. They could be in a different group tomorrow with a different teacher because they need a different skill. It's just within the space and within the block. If it's a reading block or a math block, the students are moving, or maybe even the teacher is moving to the group that needs that particular skill being taught. And that's something that the team plans for, so that whenever they come together, just as, in a regular classroom where there's the main lesson and then you do small group instruction, while maybe the students are doing centers, while a teacher would pull kids back to her table and do some reading interventions. How this is different is there's a team of adults in the room doing those things, and it's a part of the daily practice that they do, and it's just, okay, well, you're in here today, let's learn double-digit multiplication, or, it's just natural, and we want a culture within our school of community and that it doesn't matter, if you're ahead or you're behind, we're all learning this together at the end of the day.
Okay.
So.
And then question I have is regards to teacher schedules. So
Okay.
it looks as if that your teachers will be on a 4-day schedule, but then the
Yes.
students will be 5 days.
Yes.
So it'll seem that there'll be a staggered approach to who shows up on which days.
Yes.
Can you give a little bit more detail what that looks like for our general education students, and then or subject areas, and then how will that work for your CTE subject areas as well?
Yes, so everyone, how we will do that is basically I'm pulling from my old Walmart scheduling days and making it work for everyone. The same things will be offered. And that's what allows us to be able to do that is the next education workforce model. Because within this model, we don't even have to get substitutes. If a teacher is out, it's planned or even if it's unplanned, everybody just picks up the slack. You still have a team of people there instructing. And that's the same way that would work. Teachers would have the option to do a Monday through Thursday week or a Tuesday through Friday week. And obviously there will be, a certain number who can do that, who can do one or the other, so that we are fully staffed. But everyone is there for Wednesdays and Thursdays, and that's where some key things will happen whenever the whole staff is there. But we will maintain the same services. We will maintain the same rigor of instruction and everything. Everything will be offered just as it always would be. Nothing changes except the teacher who's on campus. And
you feel confident that will be able to take place as well for your CTE courses? Because we know in some cases, some of our subject areas is a little bit more difficult to find multiple teachers in those spaces.
Yes.
So you feel like that you'll be able to stagger where you'll have enough that will cover, because especially in some of the more specialized areas, it may be difficult to find someone that is going to be there every day of the week for students that may need a support.
Right. Yes, I am, and can think very quickly and on my feet. If in the event that does not work, if there is a hiccup, that in our specialty areas would be the place where there could potentially be a hiccup there. In my mind, I have a plan B for what we would do within that the next education workforce model, so that there's always someone there. That could be a guest instructor, that could be along with a community educator, things like that. But we would make sure that everyone is there are no disruptions because of a personnel schedule that I have created. Yes.
And then my last question.
Okay.
So kind of piggybacking a bit off of a question that Ms. Stewart brought forward about apprenticeships. And so when we look at the Success Ready model and the options for students to move through the pathway and how they can get to merit and then distinction is the technical certificate or youth apprenticeship. What is your plan for students to be able to have a true pre-apprenticeship or youth apprenticeship experience so that you can have students that will qualify for distinction if they are not able to get the TC?
Okay. We want to within the partnerships that we have already formed and those who are excited to come on board if we are approved. We don't believe that we'll have a problem in forming those partnerships to be able to do that for them. But in the event that we did have that problem, she and I are pretty determined people, and we don't just quit on anything. This is something that we know our kids need. We want them to graduate, have the opportunity to graduate with distinction, and we will beat the bushes. We will reach out into different communities in different regions to global companies, whatever we have to do to ensure that our students have that opportunity. If we aren't able to secure the partnerships there, we will find the partnerships somewhere because we want them to have that opportunity. We won't quit. All right.
Dr. Beth Shumate, so let me address a little bit of what you're saying. So we know there's multiple ways to merit and distinction, and I think it plays back onto our foreign language in our elementary schools. So we do expect that several of our students will be able to have that biliteracy seal on their diploma. So that would be one way they could get to that. Also, because we are mastery learning and accelerating, then we believe that we also will hit the concurrent credit piece of that. And then obviously we always want those CTE completers through whatever means that we need, because there's like multiple different ways to be a completer, right? Depending, same course, in the right order, all of those things. All of those things would still take place. The apprenticeship and partnership piece, hopefully by that point our kids have accelerated so that it becomes very easy for them to get those internship and apprenticeship pieces.
Something that does lead me to another question. Okay. I'm sorry, and I said it was my last question, but it's not. So the seal of biliteracy. So the students that you are currently working with, it's from your previous statements, you indicated that your pool of students are more likely going to come from students that are currently in homeschool?
Could be.
Okay. And so in that population of students, you feel like that there's a good number of those students that would be able to earn the seal of biliteracy is what you were saying?
Dr. Beth Shumate, absolutely.
Okay. Do you have any other questions? Okay, Dr. Moore.
So just following up, just again back to when we were talking about the building with the mall, which I mean is like such a cool idea. I mean, if that dream works, that's amazing. Very entrepreneurial thinking and everything's great. But help me understand, because you said and I went back and looked over your finances and such, you didn't include that building in there. So help me to understand the planning for that and like how that cost would fit into your budget overall. I'm trying to understand that. If and when you do that, and in what year are you planning on doing that?
So I would hate to tell you a year. Dr. Beth Shumate, thank you. I'd hate to tell you a year because I don't think it's year-based. I think it's enrollment-based.
Okay.
If we stayed at 100, then that's when our other partnerships are going to have to start coming into place, right? When we hit 500, then we start looking and going, okay, where is this space? Let's start fundraising. Let's be honest, like we are going to go on a grant writing tour if you guys approve us. Like that is our tomorrow work, or it's her tomorrow work. It's not mine. No, tomorrow's Saturday, isn't it? No, I guess I could do that tomorrow. I forgot where I was going. As far as when are we looking at building, it would depend on, yes, when do we have finances that we can feel comfortable with so that we can move forward. I would love to tell you we're going to be ready to build in 3 years, but I think that's fiscally irresponsible of me to say that to you, because what if that didn't happen? So when at the point that we are more physically sound, that's when we move into that fundraising. Well, I mean, we're always going to be doing fundraising, but really looking and securing buildings. And, you probably noticed that Napholtz is a partner of ours. We'll be leaning on them to help us. I don't know, I answered your question, but.
No, that's helpful, because I just think it's very important to look at this application for what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And even though that's awesome what it may be in the future, that's not a near-term reality and not
That's
what
right.
students would be experiencing in the next
That's right.
few years. So to all those contingency plans that Dr. Murray
Absolutely.
was asking about, that would actually be what we would be approving if we approve now,
Right.
as opposed to later. And then also looking at your student to teacher ratio, student to faculty ratio, it appears to be a 10 to 1 in your charts. Is that a feasible plan, a 10 to 1?
that's just faculty, not including non-faculty as well?
That's just with initial projections and thoughts and plans, but we want to, yes, we want to keep our class sizes small. However, we want to be fiscally sound as well. So we will adjust our employees as is needed, and we have experience with doing that. I'm come from Northwest Arkansas, rapidly growing school districts, and trying to meet the need for 200 new enrollees in a semester. But we've also been in declining enrollment districts, and so we do understand how to reduce the force as well. But what we would want to do would be to hire responsibly on the front end so that we would never need to reduce our force, and be very intentional about any new employees that we would hire for classroom spaces.
Okay, so to that end, if the first year, and I know it would be a while till you know your anticipated enrollment, really.
Yes.
If 100 was a reasonable expectation that you have, then hiring 10 faculty would be your plan for that?
No, that would not be our
Okay,
plan.
well, that's why I was asking, because
okay.
for 500, you have that you would hire 50. So
Okay.
that's why I was asking if you were gonna stick with a 10-to-1 ratio.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, my
I
question-
misunderstood.
my question wasn't clear, I'm sure.
I misunderstood. No, and we wouldn't just go out and blanket hire without knowing exactly what our enrollment is. Yes, we want small class sizes, but what I think of as a small class size is going to be 15 to 20 rather than 25 to 30. So that would be more of our target for a ratio. For teacher to student than the 1 to 10.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you for that clarity.
Are there any other questions from panel members? Okay. And I just want to clarify my statement. I'm not saying that homeschool students can't get sealed by literacy. Don't want that to be out there. But I just feel like that when you look at the number of students that you need to have fall in certain buckets to be able to, in the end, have a successful model, I just want you to kind of think through what are going to be their options to be able to obtain those pieces. And so that's just what I want you to kind of think through. Because if this doesn't come together, what is going to be the model that's going to work, that's going to meet the needs of the students and the families as well that are signing on for this model.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
So, any other questions from panel members about the application? Okay. If there's no other questions, then I will entertain a motion.
I do have a question, I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
It's a process question, so,
Okay.
for the charter office. Because I haven't had a lot of experience of us reviewing charters that are not part of an organization where there's a track record and they're like, this is like, grassroots starting from the beginning. So how does it work if approved today? Is it just go forth and prosper and it's good to go, or do they come back to us at any point? Because there were a lot of unknowns in this application, but it's sort of a chicken or egg thing. It's unknown because they've not got the green light, so they're not doing certain things. Do they come back to us at all before?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Daryl Smith, Department of Education. So basically, any new charter who's approved starting this year, basically there's a year zero checklist. And so there's a lot of these little milestones that they have to meet and still in order for them to be able to open in 26,
That's
27. Right. And if so, for example, let's just say the facility didn't get secured till March or April. Well, it'd be really tough to start in maybe, in August. And so at that point, they'd probably come back and they would say, hey, you probably want to go ahead and ask for an extension on the start date of your contract. And so, but basically, they'll, as soon as, if they are approved, and with all the ones that have already been approved, getting ready to go for the 26, 27 opening, they all go through a checklist. That's, you know, that's kind of what national best practices of the things that need to be in place in order to start a school. What do you need to be good at? What are the things that need to be secured? Have we gone through our special ed workshops? Have we understood our finances? Do we understand Arkansas finances? Do we make sure that we've got all of our pathways set up and all the things that we need with you know, along that? Have we done our teacher recruitment? Are we doing student recruitment? You know, do we have a building ready to go? And does it meet all the requirements from the city and the local government there for opening and for occupancy? And so all of those things have to be checked before the official, yep, you're ready to go and ready to open.
Thank you for that reminder and explanation.
Yes, sir.
And you guys are the monitors, right?
Yes,
they're
sir.
working with you to make sure.
And then at any point in time that we feel like, hey, we might need to bring everybody back for a follow-up, or they may make further explanation to you all and to make a decision of whether maybe at this point we need to think about extending the contract, then that's when we'll do that. We'll suggest that's when we'd recommend to the applicant, or in this case, the new charter school, that maybe they would, you know, might want to consider extending their date to open to, in this case, 27, 28, based on where they're at in their process.
So that one something you did say reminded me of a question. So if I'm remembering correctly from what I read, there is a lease or pending lease that is currently being discussed.
That would be your guys. That's your question on that one, I think.
Dr. Beth Shoemake. Let's call it a potential lease.
Okay.
I mean, we have an agreement, we have a lease in hand. We have not signed a lease because we're not approved yet.
Yes.
So we have a targeted building. We have walked the building, so.
Okay. And this building is for the academic instruction and does not include the mall
Correct.
component.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions before? No? Okay. So with that, I will entertain a motion to, I guess I should read my notes here. If there's no further questions, then I'll accept a motion on the open enrollment charter school application of Arkansas Executive Prep Academy Harrison.
I move that we approve the application.
Go ahead, sorry.
I second.
There is a motion by Dr. Bacon and a second by Mr. Baldwin that the application is accepted as presented. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Okay, that is all that we have on the action agenda. Now we're on to our consent agenda. All right. And the presenter, we have Mr. Freddie Scott.
Freddie Scott, Office of School Choice and Parent Empowerment. You have before you the minutes from the August 7th CAP meeting, awaiting your approval.
Services. Trying to find the minutes. We're trying to find our minutes, like our copy of our minutes. My name is misspelled. What's the minutes?
I think we can access them online.
So if you go to, I think it's Board Book, you can access it online on Board Book if you take a moment to look at it there. Yeah. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to find and take a peek at that. Is there any,
I just sent a link to everyone in case anybody was needing it in the calendar invite.
go ahead and say whenever you're ready.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I have one correction. My name was misspelled in one spot. To be corrected.
The correction is what, I'm sorry?
Her name
My
is
name is
misspelled
misspelled
in one spot in the minutes.
Yeah,
We'll make that correction.
3-8 or 3-1, yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
We'll make-
so, do you wanna reintroduce the motion?
I move that we approve the minutes with the correction of the spelling of Ms. Stewart's name.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Dr. Bacon and a second by Dr. Bashir Duncan that we accept the minutes with the correction of Ms. Stewart's first name, within the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries, thank you. Let's see, there's no public comments, okay, so we're good there. So if there's no further business that we need to address today, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn,
I make a motion to adjourn.
okay?
I second.
Okay, so a motion by Ms. Stewart, a second by Dr. Bashir Duncan that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, thank you. We are adjourned.